Hello everyone. So I'm sorry that we are a little bit late today. Just running a little late. It's not too bad. I did do a lot of troubleshooting before stream. So first of all, as you know, we got our capture card and stuff, and tomorrow will be our first ever PlayStation 4 stream, so that's cool. So I had to troubleshoot with that. I just wanted to figure it out, and that part was actually kind of quick. But then I had my PC not connecting to the Wi-Fi at all. Like, it wouldn't pick up anything, so I had to do troubleshooting with that for like an embarrassing amount of time. But I did figure it out. I did figure it out with my friend's help and everything. Now, I don't know why this is not showing completely. This is odd. Hold on. Okay, I guess I just gotta keep it... Yeah, it doesn't resize when I open it big. That's odd. Anyway, I'll just keep it small. That's fine. But, yeah. A lot of troubleshooting. A lot of stuff. But we're finally able to play the game. And we're actually not that far off. Normally we're a little, we are a little, late anyway, so it doesn't matter that bad. We also have our rules video up, so if you haven't watched that yet, you probably should. I'm gonna turn down the music a little bit. Just a little too loud for me. I'm gonna turn character speed up, because I like it to be. There! Hitting full screen helped. Let's make sure that that didn't... Okay, it didn't fuck it up for you guys either. Okay, cool. About. Oh, this is the credits. Thank you, my friends who listen to me talk over and over about the game. Aw, that's cute. Alright. Let's just go right in. I don't know if I can use controller or not. It didn't say. It's not made for a controller, but it also didn't say that it doesn't support controller, so... Might work. I forget it's always trigger button. It had been a fairly average day, the day that her father was murdered. He was murdered. Phoebe awoke on time, cooked her father's breakfast, and then was told to mind the stove. So she did. Oh, store. Sorry, not stove. Customers didn't typically arrive at her father's pawn shop until much later in the evening, or much earlier in the morning, for that matter. Their typical client base tended to keep their company with the night. And where the store stood, off the beaten path in one of the rougher areas of New York working city. Just New Working City. It didn't get much foot traffic. Yeah, New York Working City. So typically there wasn't much for Phoebe to do. She swept the floors, wiped down the counters, and mostly just watched the front door. Sometimes, as she stood there for hours on end, she would play a game with herself and try to form pictures of the wood grain on the door. And it was during one of these games, on that oh-so-routine day, that the door unroutinely opened. And a man walked in, bright red eyes peeking out from under his hat. Phoebe stood. I think her name's Phoebe. It's spelled a little differently, but I think it's Phoebe. I don't think it would be Phoebe, so we're gonna call her Phoebe. Stood up and greeted the customer, as her father had instructed her to do. Her father came out to meet the man. They had an appointment, her father had said, and that she was to continue minding the store. The last thing he said to her, before the two of them went into the back, and Phoebe turned back to the door, and her little secret game of her own. And so she stood, waiting and minding. Even when there was yelling, that was fairly routine. Some customers were more rowdy than others. And when those loud noises continued on and on, even when there was a particularly loud crack, Phoebe would know that this was the sound of a gunshot, if she would admit this to herself. And then silence. She stood and stood. Hours went by, and the sun went its routine way, just as Phoebe went hers. Why would she not check? I don't get it. Even when a sticky substance seeped out underneath the back door and stained her shoes. Because no one was there to tell her any differently, and she was meant to do a good job. Okay, Phoebe, sounds like you have some mental problems. Eventually someone arrived. The police. They informed her of what she already knew, but couldn't bring herself to truly know. Her father was dead. The police worked quickly, sweeping from room to room. almost as if this was routine for them. Good, Phoebe would think to herself. It is good when your day goes by routinely. Phoebe, you in shock or something, girl? They found nothing. So just as quickly as they came, the police left, Phoebe waving them goodbye as they shuffled out the front door. But just as the last officer was leaving, they hung at the threshold, hesitating. The officer said they were worried for Phoebe. They didn't know if her father had been targeted. No, most likely was. Within her father's possessions had been letters between her own father and that of a man named Isaac Wright, her grandfather, letters with an address. The officer told her that she couldn't live here anymore, that she should find her grandfather and live with him, in that town named Edgefield. And with that, the last officer quietly shuffled away into the receding sun. Phoebe stood there in the store and, well, she didn't do much of anything for a while. But as she stood in the sunset with the door still wide open, the cold, blustery air continued to drop the temperature of the room. Phoebe thought to do something. She shut the front door, and went to go find the letters from her grandfather. Edgefield. A small village on the edge of the map. Some people moved to towns such as this for the glory, for the start of their grand adventure into the untamed wilderness. For Phoebe, it was something quite more out of necessity. With her father gone, the pawn shop could not go on, so she left it there and set off. And here she stood, with just her bag and a few of her personal belongings. The town from her grandfather's letters. You gonna keep staring or what? I feel like that's what a old lady named Fanny would sound like. Fanny, the general store proprietor, had agreed to show Phoebe her grandfather's house, what with it being on the outskirts of the town. It ended up being a bit of a hike, her grandfather's property being about 20-minute walk through the endless fields. Jeez. No, I'm done. She didn't mean to get off on the wrong foot with Miss Fanny. She meant to keep up with her and keep her head down. Good ways to stay out of the way, she knew. Is this how I save? Hold on. No. Hold on. Oh, okay. It's just gonna keep going. Okay. And staring she did, as the two finally came on an old-looking building, jutting out of the dusty fields above them. Can I, like... Yeah, there we go. Options. First, I wanted to turn the music back up, because the music's not as loud. And I wanted to turn the character speed up. There we go. Her grandfather's farmhouse. Fanny quickly strolled up and knocked once, twice, and the silence drew on and on. Are you sure your grandfather was expecting you? He had written letters to my father. Phoebe just stood looking at the other woman, unsure of what exactly she was supposed to say next. She just stares back. In response, Fanny gives one final knock on the door before moving to open it. It wasn't locked. The two of them walked inside, Phoebe more hesitant than the other. Well, yeah, she seems a little strung. Inside, cobwebs and dust. No one had been here for a long time. Well, look at this. Maybe he kicked it while working in the fields. Jeez, Fanny, okay. It's a little rude. My dad just died. Fanny gave her the look of a smile. But for what, Phoebe wasn't sure. What was she supposed to say to that? Poor girl, she's so tired. As for her own response, Phoebe stood there on the threshold of the door, taking it all in. I like that things are like, you see how the, stuff is, moving slightly? It's interesting. It gives it, a more mysterious feel to it. She had been hoping that once she found her grandfather, things could go back to being routine. I still need to do the character speed more. There we go. When was the last time you heard from the man? My father. He had written him a few months ago. Well, whatever. Congrats there, what'd you say your name was? Phoebe. Phoebes. Welcome to your new home. Now, don't forget to drop by old Fanny's sack for anything you forgot to bring with you. I might even give you a housewarming discount. Maybe. She's not giving any discounts. But anyway, nice to meet you. Welcome to town. Blah, blah. I got stuff to do. Bye. Clearly not a woman to waste words, Fanny strode out and slammed the door behind her. She's so rude. leaving Phoebe in the dim farmhouse room. She looked around and around. What was she to do now? Ever since her father died, he had told her to mind the store, but there was no store left to mind. What was she to do? Standing there, looking around, she decided to... I want to see what this thing is. She checked her ointments. She had plenty of her lotion left. Oh, that's hers, okay. Phoebe could see herself in the mirror. Her skin looked smooth. Because of the lotion. It's under the bed. A door in the floor, a large padlock prevented it from being opened. That's odd. Sleep? No, not yet. A family picture, where her father used to stand and the image had been ripped. Ooh. Grandfather not like us? Phoebe tried to imitate the smile on the little girl's face. Pretty close. I'm guessing that was her? So maybe she does know her grandfather then. I can't believe him. Why is he so obsessed with the dogs? We've already perfected them. Why not start on something new? Okay, so I think the dogs have to be these howling monsters that they talk about in the store page. I had to hide my imported texts from him in the basement. His eyesight is bad enough. He won't find it unless it's directly under a light. Heaven knows how he keeps working down there. I guess if you found a rhythm, you don't need much light to know where everything is. Whatever. Let him make his same dogs day in and day out. I'll make something different. I'll surpass him. I just know it. How are you making dogs? She's getting worse. I can't remember what her mother had. Some lung defect? I probably should have asked for more information before she died. Maybe he's a doctor? I talked to Isaac about using my research to form a new lung. He's set on making another dog. What use would she be to us then? At least my way, she'll keep her form. And even if it doesn't work, at least we'll have good data out of it. Okay. So she is some kind of... This mysterious she, I should say. Is some kind of, like, experiment? Has something to do with the dogs? Appropriate human subjects are so hard to find, especially with Isaac's meddling. What a waste. There was an accident with the old sheriff. Isaac is talking about adjusting the serum levels to make them more amiable to others, but they'll lose their forms during the day. What use is a dog if they're only there for 12 hours a day? So are they experimenting on people and making them into dogs? Like, dog creatures out during the day? Or no, it would be during the night. If they lose their forms during the day, maybe? I don't know. I keep pushing him to reconsider my theories. He's too scared, too set in his ways. Some men will embrace monotony and rhythm to avoid the unknown. No truth can ever be unveiled without some risk. What an idiot. The new sheriff is arriving next week. Isaac said his name was Hugh. Maybe he'll agree with me. Maybe we can steer this town in the right direction. Cowards, all of them. This town is doomed. They just can't see it. I'm not going to let them keep me here. So he got, like, locked up after they found out about his experiments. I'll take her with me. We can bring the ingredients with us. They don't know it yet, but they just made a massive mistake. Interesting. So he took the girl that he's experimenting on. Oh, we already read those. Whoops. As the front door softly shut behind her, Phoebe took a look out at the farm that stretched out before her. Silence, and fields as far as the eye could see. Again she felt that strange feeling, that emptiness. She'd never felt like this with father. She must find grandfather so she could stop this feeling. What a terrible, horrible feeling. What is this? My inventory? What do I have? Got face cream. Phoebe's face cream. She diligently applies this every day. Watering can. Phoebe uses this to water the crops in the fields. Okay. What's in here? She opened the door to the barn and moved inside. Slow drifting clouds of dust covered the floor, covered the windows. The air was thick with disuse and the stench of animals that once called this home. There's no animals now, though. But it was empty, lonely. It made Phoebe sad for some reason. She decided to keep exploring. Nothing in the barn? I guess not. Okay, that's the house. What's back? Phoebe thought to leave the farm to explore elsewhere, but she felt she wasn't quite done here. Okay. We need to go further. There's a large open field before her. If she wanted to, Phoebe could plant things here. I don't think we have any plants, though. She'd never done anything of the sort in her father's store. But with a little work and patience, perhaps she could learn to do this. Yes, in case grandfather comes back. Water seeds every day in order for plants to grow. You can buy more seeds at Fanny's General Store. Sell or gift your veggies. Okay, so we don't have any seeds, though. I can leave now. Whoa, what's this place? I took a flower! Okay, so maybe I do need to... Hold on. I didn't realize I could, like, pick things up. I'm foraging! Basically. Why can't I... What do you mean I can't pick it up? How come? Oh, is my inventory full? Well, how do I bring it back? Where's my farm? Where's my farm? Is that my farm? Okay, that's my farm. Do I have, like, storage or anything, maybe? No. Do I have to, like, sell and gift them then? Or can I plant them, maybe? Maybe I can plant them. No. Those are just things that I can give. Also, one of those was called the Butterblue flower, which is interesting. So I go up here. There's a fishing spot. Okay. Cool. So it's just a cliff, I guess. Oh, that was the fishing spot. Alright, so we can fish to the right. Phoebe walked into the town of Edgefield proper. A small settlement with only a handful of buildings lining the main village square. And the few villagers she saw, they kept their heads down, and none greeted her. Best for her, especially if someone might happen to recognize her face. Well, let's take a quick tour, regardless. Phoebe walked into the establishment adorned with a sign, Old Fanny's Sack. And just who would she see upon entering? Well, Old Fanny herself, of course. Her and a stern-looking man who was currently glaring at her. Last warning, Fanny. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out. Yeah. If you pull this shit again, you won't have a use for those pretty coins of yours. And tell me, Sheriff, who's keeping those dogs of yours fed? Oh, is that our grandfather? Or he could also be Isaac. You kill me and your next trader might ask a few too many questions. I know that's Hugh, so maybe that is our grandfather. This is your last warning. Oh no, he wasn't the sheriff though. Maybe he's the new sheriff. So the new sheriff also has something to do with the dogs? I don't know. Yeah, you're welcome. Phoebe stood by the door. She was used to being quiet and out of the way. Perhaps now she ought to make sure they knew she was here. She let out one quiet cough. The man turned around on her, his face filled with fury. Who the hell are you? Oh, hey, it's the girl with the dead father and grandfather. Well, probably dead grandfather. Okay. Phoebe, right? Yes. It's nice to meet you again, Miss Fanny. And, She turned towards the fury-filled man. His face hadn't changed an inch since he first rounded on her. Mr... Nothing. Gets in. Or out. Fanny. Yeah. But she arrived before you gave me the last warning. So, she's in. Everything else is locked. Oh, don't you mind him, Phoebes. He won't introduce himself to you. Phoebe smiled at the nickname. It was good to keep customers happy, but if they tried too hard to get into your good graces, they might try to fleece you out of something. Or so her father said. He's Hugh, the sheriff. You know, out here we don't have police officers and that stuff, so we get him, the leader, so to speak. Enough. You, stay out of our way. That translates to welcome to our town, by the way. He shot one final glare at Fanny, and then walked out of the door. I wonder if he's angry. I can't tell if he's in the conspiracy, or if he's, like, just, like, an ass, for lack of a better term. He shot one final glare at Fanny, and then walked out the door. Phoebe stood where she had stayed the entire conversation, back against the far wall, with her friendly smile on her face. Well, now, you met everyone important in this town. Hope you weren't itching to make friends. We don't got any of those around here. Yeah, I can tell. Everyone's been so mean to her so far. But I have things you can buy to stave off the lack of friendly relations. See? Great little system I've got going here, if I do say so myself. Oh, that sounds nice. Ha! What a sweet little girl. Phoebe excused herself and decided to head home. Phoebe closed the door behind her and noticed the sun on the horizon. Was it that time already? In the town square were the few villagers, each racing around, shuttering their windows and doors. She walked closer to one of them, unsure what they were doing, when one of them ran into her. Oh, I'm sorry. What the hell are you doing? The sun's setting. Oh, it is. I don't recognize you. Are you one of the replacements for last month's casualties? Oh, that's the villager, sorry. No one ever trains these new recruits. Some of the dogs got out. They'll go berserk at night. You gotta be asleep before 8 p.m. or else you'll die. Dogs? A bell chimed from above, the gongs echoing all through the town. I hate fresh recruits. Just go to sleep before it's too late. He ran off with that, leaving Phoebe standing all alone in the square. Alright, I'll do that. She began her trek back to her grandfather's farm, picking her way through the countryside. Howling. It was a shame she had to go inside, because Phoebe found the countryside at night quite stunning. All around her, little fireflies lit up the fields. I love fireflies. They're so pretty. We get them a lot where I live, too. She never stopped to look, but she did gaze out the horizon, enjoying the view as much as she could. Just as she rounded the hill and her grandfather's farmhouse came into view, the last of the sun rays left the horizon. Her grandfather's farm stood before her, and an overwhelming loneliness overtook her. Again, a howling in the distance. She remembered the villager's word of warning. Be asleep before 8 p.m. What time was it? She ran into the farmhouse, shutting the door behind her. She gripped her fingers in her hands. After today, things would go back to normal, would return to their familiar routine. She went to bed, thinking these thoughts, and more some. Yes? Why wouldn't I see my progress? Yes? Okay, and then I don't need to save after that. I didn't really get to make any decisions yet. The night was long, filled with fretful sleep and the echoes of the howling in the night. At one point, she heard the barn door give a horrifying rattle. She thought to check it, but decided to investigate in the morning. Dogs indeed. She didn't know how many there had been, but certainly enough to cause a problem. She applied her lotion to her face, to her hands in the mirror, checking her skin for any cracks, and then went about her day. I wonder why that's part of her routine. She had her ointment, she had plenty of lotion left. Still think that part's weird. Now, is there anything in the barn that I can actually engage with? As empty as it had been the first day, it was no longer. Phoebe saw a figure at the back of the barn, hunched over. Instinctively, she moved towards to get a closer look when the figure moved. She saw eyes, orange-red eyes that looked straight out at her from that shadowy mass. It moved and she froze in fright, rooted to the spot. One step and two, until it strode closer and into a ray of sunlight drifting in from a broken window. It was a man, holding a gun in his hand. Hey, get off my farm! But more than that, Phoebe noticed the painful grimace on his face. He was young, perhaps the age that Phoebe was supposed to be. He looked at Phoebe for a second, too, an unreadable look in his eyes. Hello? He took one more step forward, then stopped, and took a step back. The gun was still tight in his grip. Who are you? I could ask you the same question, sir. Why are you on Phoebe's farm? I'm Phoebe. His eyes darted around the room, looking behind her. Where's Isaac? I don't know. You mean my grandfather? I don't know. I'm looking for him. Oh, so this might be the guy that was writing the letter, the stuff then, I think. So I was thinking it was the grandfather, but if the grandfather's name is Isaac, he wouldn't be referring to himself in third person. That scowl of his looked quite awful. Phoebe wondered if he was in some sort of pain. So you don't know where he is? No. I came here because my father's dead. Dead? He took a few moments and stared at her face. Slowly, his shoulders angled back down. Phoebe didn't know why, but the mood in the room suddenly felt lighter. Well, that's a surprise. And you? He was looking at her, with an odd look in his eyes. He kept glancing at her sides, almost as if waiting for her to do something. The gun was limp in his hand, but Phoebe simply stared at the man. Yes? Finally, his eyes shot back to hers, apparently finished waiting for Phoebe to act. What did he think? What did he think she was gonna do? I'm sorry to hear about your father. Suppose he can't continue on with his work then. No, I had to close down the pawn shop. Pawn shop? He ran a pawn shop? Yes? Anything else? What about his research? Oh. Maybe Peyton is just a random villager then, and the writing was from her dad. No? Huh? I'm sorry. Is there something wrong? No, it's... He scratched his head for a few minutes, not saying a word. Phoebe simply waited for him to continue. She was used to this. Her father used to fall into long periods of silence, after all. And then, at the end of this indeterminate period of silence, he put his gun away. The name's Peyton. He held his hand out. Phoebe looked at it. It's nice to meet you. Sorry about camping in your barn. His hand was still out in front of him. He slowly let it drop. It's good meeting you. Yeah, why was he in the barn? So, you're Isaac's granddaughter. Do you know when he'll be back? No. Ah, I see. I take it you don't know much about. He doesn't finish his thought. The dogs? I'm talking about the dogs. I'm here to assist. In that case, will you let me know if you find him? Yes, of course. So, you aren't gonna mention the gun? Why would I? He looked around, scratching his head again. He's like, who is this girl? Why does she sense no danger? In the silence that stretched between them, Phoebe simply looked around. She wanted to give this man space to figure out his words. She understood what that felt like. Her eyes landed on a sack that was propped up against the far wall. What looked like clothes spilled out the top. Those are yours? Yeah, I didn't know anyone was still living here. They aren't. I'm in the house. She's a little naive. Like, I kind of find it cute. I didn't mean here. I didn't know anyone was still living on the farm. Well, I suppose now they are, if you count me. But no one is living in the barn. If you would prefer to stay in your current lodgings. What? You're letting me stay here? There's no need to change the current scenario. Not on my behalf. She's so nice. You're looking for my grandfather, correct? If you stay here, you'll be closer to when he returns, to continue your business with him. Ah, there. This is what she'd been looking for. Routine. Familiarity. It made sense to Phoebe to continue to do the work she had done with her father, now for her grandfather. This man was a customer of her grandfather, after all. I guess you can say that. Very well. When my grandfather returns, I will inform him that he has a customer waiting on him. Wait, no, don't do that. Just let me know when you find him. Don't tell him about me. Because that painful look from before was back on his face. Phoebe didn't understand this man, why he was in such pain. Very well. Wonder if he's one of the dog people. He looked at her oddly. Anything else? What? Is there anything else you're in need of? What are you talking about? Offering my services to you. You're a guest, and I would be honored to be of assistance. Phoebe, we just met. Indeed we did. You shouldn't offer your services to strange men you just met. Oh, very well. I think there was a misunderstanding there. He sighed again. The look of pain was back in his face. And then, under his breath, what a strange girl. If I am not able to offer my services to you, then I see no purpose in continuing this conversation. I will go back to, She paused, unsure of how to describe what it was she had been doing before. Walking around. Sounds riveting. I'll leave you to it. Anything else I can look at? Can I talk to him again? No? Okay. Can't I ask him about the... I can gift him something! About flower! Ah, this is nice. Thank you. If I give you something again! Oh, but I already gave him something today. I can't give him more? That's dumb. Phoebe stared at the customer living in her grandfather's barn. He stared back at her. There was a slight frown to his face, and he seemed to be concentrating on her features. Phoebe didn't know why, but she did know that he was not happy, and that was no good for a customer to be. It is good to see you again, Mr. Peyton. He didn't say anything in response. Instead, he carted his hand through his hair. Oh, this was no good. She had to try harder. Is there anything I can do for you? Stop asking me that. I'm sorry. Her gaze drifted over to the rucksack leaning against the back wall. A few garments of clothes were spilling out of it. Do you need someone to launder those for you? I could... Is this a trap? No? Isaac was always so straightforward in his schemes. But this? I just don't understand what you're doing. He's just trying to help you. Oh. Phoebe looked down. A horrible, horrible feeling was bubbling up inside her. He wasn't happy. He was angry at her. And she was failing at her job. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mr. Peyton. She felt tired and exhausted, and now she couldn't even do her job correctly. Her father would be disappointed in her. Her grandfather would never want to see her. Hey, I didn't mean to make you upset. Phoebe kept her gaze at the ground. Peyton looked around frantically, as if trying to find something. He's like, oh no, I have wounded the girl's heart. I wouldn't want to inflict my laundry on anyone else. I, haven't exactly had time to give them a good wash. That's all. She looked up at him. He didn't seem angry, as he had been earlier. You, trying to be helpful? Yes. I see. He looked behind her, but didn't say anything for a moment. Then I'm sorry. I'm fine. There isn't anything I need. If he didn't need anything, then why did he always look like he was in pain? Certainly, Phoebe thought to herself, there was something she could do to make him happy. And sorry for being so abrupt earlier. I just wasn't... There's a lot of things I wasn't expecting. I'm sorry. Aw. He seems softer. Well, I should probably let you go. Phoebe thought to apologize again, but he had already turned back around and walked away. Well, it wasn't the best job she had done, but Phoebe hoped she would have another chance to correct her mistakes. I don't want to keep bothering him. Okay, fair. Fair. Fair enough. Just don't have any seeds. Is there, like, new stuff growing every time? Doesn't seem like it. We need a fishing rod to get fish. Hold on. What sells for the most? Let's see. Sell price 3. Sell Price 5. It's price 5. So either mushrooms or flowers, it doesn't really matter. Go sell stuff to the general store, I guess. That's the farm. This is actual. What's wrong? There's a scruffing looking hooligan there. From where she was standing, Phoebe thought she could see a few fleas jumping from their jacket. She left them alone. You don't want to help them? Okay. What's this house? Oh, it's the sheriff. It's the sheriff's office. Have a flower. Get out. But I already gave him something today. He didn't like the flower, though. Can I talk to him? You again? If you have no business here, get out. Okay, jeez. So mean. Hello, Fanny. I can donate. Oh, I don't have any money. What money? I didn't know how to get out of it. Buy something? Yeah, sell. I would have to collect a lot of stuff. While talking to her first. Oh hey, it's Phoebes. I'm sure you need some more seeds, right? Oh, is she just gonna, like, speak to me normal? I don't want to keep bothering her. Okay. Let's go collect some stuff. Oh, wait! What's this way? Oh no, that's just the town. Why was I thinking this looked different? Oh, buy something. I gotta be quick about this stuff, because time passes quick. It's already 5. Could be in bed by 8. I have enough for seeds. Maybe I should buy some seeds. But I really want the fishing pole, too. Let's get the fishing pole. What about the fishing pole today? Or first, I should say. I don't think we're going to be able to get it today. It's too late already. Can't talk to them after a period of time either, I guess. Alright, we gotta go. We can get back to the farm. Sleep? Yes. And I will save my progress as well. Oh. Okay. I think I'm gonna use mouse just because I have to be kind of speedy about stuff. On a routine day on the farm, Phoebe woke and applied her lotion to her hands, face, and arms, and went about her day. This changed, right? Okay. Phoebe could see herself in the mirror. Her skin looked smooth. I wonder why they keep mentioning her skin. Still no sign of Isaac? There must be something. Okay, so I can only talk to them once a day. Oh, I sold all my stuff. Sorry. He's like, what the fuck? I didn't get any seeds yet either. Okay, let's go picking. Pick that up on the next time. Wait, I don't have anything different. Dang, I'm gonna have to just go to town and sell this first. Who are you? There was a man there, staring off into the distance. Every so often his fingers twitched. Phoebe decided not to say anything and went about her day. Alright, so we're never gonna talk to a stranger, I guess. We're just gonna see them. Oh hey, it's Phoebe's. I'm sure you need some seeds, right? Well, she's always boring. Okay, let's stop by the farm and give him a mushroom. I didn't give him something! What do you mean? Sad. Fine, I'll give the asshole a mushroom. I see you can be useful after all. Oh, he liked the mushroom? You again? You have no business here. Get out. Okay. If I donate... What would she say? Well, I know you can donate more than that. That was rude. Almost. We almost have enough to fish. It gets dark so quickly. It's kind of odd. I throw stuff up here. That's it though. I don't know if we'll be able to get it with this or not. Damn! Shouldn't have donated. Alright. What do I do now? Can't talk to anybody. Can't fish. I don't have the fishing pole. Can I do anything with the tree? I never even tried to click on those. I can't plant anything because I don't have seeds. I do want to keep bothering him because I'm bored. Same. Still haven't figured out the padlock situation. I guess I'll go to sleep. On a routine day on the farm, Phoebe woke and applied her lotion to her face. Hands, face, arms, and went about her day. Alright. Let's give him a mushroom and see what he says. Ah. Thanks, I suppose? Okay, so he prefers the flowers, it seems like. Welcome back, Phoebe. How'd your walking around go? Splendid. Were you successful in your own endeavors? Endeavors? Yes, you must be very busy yourself. She smiled at him. Her father always said it was important to smile at customers. I can't say I've done anything recently. Anything I've done recently has been successful. There it was again. That look of pain. Oh dear, she must have said something bad. I'm sorry. I did not intend to cause any harm. Harm? You have a painful look on your face when I ask about certain things. I'm sorry to have caused that. Phoebe, that... You don't do much small talk, do you? Oh, I'm sorry for that as well. It is true that I have not had... Well, I'm not sure I should have expected anything else. I'm guessing our grandfather was the same. From the way he said that. Okay. I'm gonna try to give big guy a tumbleweed. There's a scruffy looking hooligan there. It's the same person. I see. You again? You had no business here. Get out. Okay. Jeez. He's kind of mean. I wonder if my grandfather's wanted. I will buy my fishing pole. Thank you. Hello, Miss Fanny. And hello there yourself, Phoebes. Phoebe smiled at the older woman. It was easy to talk to Fanny. She didn't ask much of her, outside of buying more things at the shop, which Phoebe was glad to do. Anything you're looking for today? Not that I have anything different in stock. Fanny let out a sigh at that. I'm sorry. Oh, I mean, it's not your fault that damn sheriff has closed all the roads in and out of town. How else am I supposed to get new stock? Phoebe looked down. She didn't know what else to say to that. I think he's doing it just to spite me, you know? It's not my fault that shop's wildly successful. Oh. Yeah. It's probably jealousy. He's not used to his merchants to last as long as I have. You know, before I came to town, he burned through 5 shopkeepers. That story goes that one didn't even last a week. How sad. Yeah, for them maybe. Again, not my fault I'm actually successful at my job. This town's never been as rich as it has, and he should be happy I'm as generous as I am, giving 15% to the coffers of the town. Wow, that's very generous of you, Mrs. Fanny. Right? He keeps saying that the previous shopkeepers were giving him 50. Well, that must be why they were so bad at this, huh? Of course. I mean, if he... She just keeps going on and on. If he thinks that's how you should run a town, he's delusional. Now, if you ask me, he should be opening up all of our trade routes for maximum profit. You're right, Miss Fanny. That's my girl. I knew I could count on you. And speaking of my girl, how about buying a little something for the road? I guess. I'll get a potato. Potato seeds. Okay. Okay, I guess I already watered those then. Where else did I want to go? I wanted to see the fishing. Can I do it with my keyboard? No. Oh, I did catch one. Interesting. Can I sell them? What do you sell for? Hold on, let's see. Oh, damn, okay. A good amount, actually. That was a good idea of mine. I like that sound. Looks like maybe I can only catch one a day. Which I guess is fair, because they do give me a lot. Let's go ahead and sell this, I guess. Sell. I'll take this too. Girl's Guide to Love. Girl's Guide on Love on the Frontier. A strange book Phoebe purchased from Fanny's shop. Go ahead and read it if you're stuck and need a hint. Oh, okay. Nice. I'm guessing that's so that we can form, like, friendships and stuff? Maybe we can romance the options, I don't know. Let me see, I'm curious. Howdy there, cow gals. Cowboys and cow peeps also welcome. There's more to life than just tumbleweeds and dirt out here on the frontier. There might also be the love of your life. But good luck finding them and wooing them. It's hard out here for us girlies. But don't worry. This guide here will help you lasso the love of your life. But first we gotta know what we're working with here. For the man who can't figure out how to button the top of his shirt. He loves flowers, fish, potatoes. He likes turnips, corn, and mushrooms. He doesn't like seeds or tumbleweeds. What? Why is the dog up there? For the man who just really wants a dog. Loves turnips, mushrooms, and corn. Likes potatoes, tumbleweeds, and fish. Hates seeds and flowers. For the girlie obsessed with money. She just loves money. What do you mean there's more to life than just love? I'll have you know, you're wrong. But anyway, here's a few other things a cowgirl pal should know. Did you know? Try planting something in the second column, third row plot. I heard there's something buried there. Fanny might know what to do with the item you find. Did you know Peyton enjoys fishing? To get an extra scene with him, try catching a fish. Okay, well we did that. Did you know Peyton is said to only leave the barn at night? Try visiting the mountains after you've raised his affection enough to see an extra scene required for his ending. Did you know he was a dick? But I suppose you already figured that out. Oh, that's it. Good luck. Okay, so my little hints here are that Peyton. I'm gonna write it down so I don't forget. Peyton, I have to fish and visit mountains when he loves me. And then plant something, second column, third row. I'm guessing for Girly, we gotta give her a bunch of money. So I'm guessing the 3 endings just deal with the characters, maybe? Sleep? Yeah, no. Okay, it says he leaves at night. So if I just walk around, will he go somewhere? I don't know if I need to have the fish on me, or if I have to give him the fish. Oh god, I gotta get back to the farm. Just as the clock struck 8, something growled right behind Phoebe. What? A creature appeared in front of her. It lunged, and Phoebe was in pain. Everything was black, and she never woke up. Wait, quick start. What day is it? That's just for my last save point? No, I don't have my fishing rod. How much money do I can't tell. Hold on. We'll just load. To make sure. Oh, I guess I didn't have my fishing rod. Whoops. And my money is in the top corner. Damn, I did everything this day. And I will buy the fishing rod. And I'll talk to her. We already saw this though. Okay. And I said I would buy a potato. Thanks, Fanny. Wait, no. I'm gonna... He likes mushrooms. Seem be useful after all, and then I'll talk to him and he'll be like, get out. Alright, but now we have stuff that we can sell, which is good. Oh, I already took everything? Oh, well, that sucks. Let's go back up in a little bit. Oh no, I didn't want to sell my potato! Whoops. I need to put that at the farm, so I have enough room. Okay. What if I just click on this? Phoebe dug into the dirt, ready to plant some seeds. But unexpectedly she hit something metallic. She pulled up a piece of metal from the ground. She slipped it into her dress and went about her day. What is it? It's a key! A strange metallic object. Has she never seen a key before? Okay, I guess I gotta go to... They said I should go to Fanny about it. Oh, I don't have anything to gift him. Sorry. So I was like, there must be something. Oh, I forgot I wanted to talk to him while I had the fish. Oh, there's more fish though. So I wonder if I can get more fish then. Sigh. As Phoebe entered the old Fanny sack, she could see the older woman with a peculiar look on her face. Is everything alright? Okay, Miss Fanny? Oh, hey, Phoebes. Good to see you. It is good to see you as well. She smiled at the woman. Being a customer instead of standing behind the counter was still a new feeling for her. She's never bought anything before. So, here to buy or sell? Phoebe opened her bag and saw the strange metallic items thing at the top. She pulled it out and showed it to the saleswoman. Now that's strange. Fanny took the item from Phoebe's hands and began to turn it over to investigate. I found it in the field. Why the fuck did I do Fanny's voice for her? I found it in the fields. Looks like a key. A really rusty key. You'll need to clean it to be able to use it. I see. The woman's eyes lit up. I don't suppose you have your own metal polish back at your grandfather's farm, do you? Just as I thought. Well, I have a bit of a proposition for you, Phoebes. See, not all my customers are quite as wonderful as you. Some of them don't have money to buy my goods. But I'm generous, you know. I let them have the goods on credit, as long as they pay me back with a little extra, you see. But these 3 customers, well, they've taken advantage of my kindness. They haven't paid off their tab. And around here, well, those dogs are certainly dangerous, and I would hate for anything to happen to my customers before they have a chance to pay me back. She's like, I really don't care if you die, I just want my money. Here's the deal. I clean this key of yours, and you go find these 3 customers of mine. Get them to pay off their debts. Sound like a deal? Sure. Yes, I can do that. Excellent. Then I'll keep this key of yours for safekeeping. The 3 customers are Scruffy Hooligan, Twitching Man, and Odorous Woman. You can find them in the town square. If they aren't there, check back the next day, and the day after that for good measure. Best of luck. There's a scruffy-looking hooligan there. From where she was standing, Phoebe thought she could see a few fleas jumping from their jacket. Excuse me. The hooligan looked up and glared at Phoebe. Miss Fanny said you need to pay your debt to her. The person didn't say anything, but slowly scratched their face. Phoebe could see the dirt and debris under their fingernails. Please. Hungry. You got something to eat. Oh, will you pay off your debt then? I'll think about it. Very well, I'll bring you some food. Phoebe left the person alone. Can I bring them a fish? Ah, food. The person began to devour the gift. And your debt? They continued to bite in the food vigorously, but managed to nod at Phoebe. She considered that a success, and decided to report back to Miss Fanny about the customer. I don't want to keep bothering her. Oh, what do I do then? How do I report back? Any little bit helps. Okay, I guess we're not reporting back then. Oh, I already gave him something today. Okay. Go fishing again, maybe? Okay. Let's hurry up, sell these, and get going home. I talked to him already today. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yes, sleep. All right. Team day. Blah, blah. We watered our potato plant. I'm gonna go fishing before I talk to him today. Okay, maybe I gotta give him one. Or at least have it on me. I'll give him one. This is nice. Thank you. Okay, we talk. Welcome back, Phoebe. How'd your walking around go? Splendid. Were you successful in your own endeavors? Okay, they already had this conversation. Nothing else though, huh? Okay. Let's go ahead and go sell some stuff then. There you are. Excuse me, do you owe Miss Fanny money? Fanny? What else does she want from me? She took everything. She says you need to pay back your debts. That woman. Her debts never end. Don't let that woman sucker you into her schemes. She lent me a fishing rod, loaned it to me. I was supposed to catch some fish and sell them to buy the fishing rod, but the very first time I used it, it broke. So now I can't get the fish I need, nor sell the rod back to her. I'm stuck with all this debt that keeps increasing. The fish you need? I needed the scales for my experiment. According to Wright's research, there's a way to turn scales into silver. And if I could just get my hands on a fish, I would never have to worry about her debts ever again. Oh, then let me bring you a fish, so you can pay back your debts to Miss Fanny. That woman is an abomination, but I'll gladly take the fish. Phoebe, excuse yourself to look for a fish. Oh, I got one. Finally, a fish. I can make as much silver as I want with this, and I'll never have to see that woman ever again. Phoebe smiled at the woman, who just glared at her. But why are you giving me this? You needed a fish. To pay back Fanny, right? And why are you helping that woman? She asked for help? The woman shook her head. Girl, listen to me. Get out of this town, and quick. But Sheriff Hughes said no one is allowed to leave. The woman stared at her for 1-2 seconds, and then abruptly turned her back, and refused to continue the conversation. Phoebe watched her, not quite sure what to make of the encounter. Well, in the end she had done what she had been asked, for she decided this was a success. Oh, back? I see you're still working on that quest of mine. Remember, you can find them in the town square. Every day, one of the 3 will be there. If there's someone looking for and they're not there, check back the next day. Good luck. Okay, well I can sell this stuff. $25. Thanks for supporting small businesses. Okay, Fanny. I don't think I gave anything to Sheriff. Whoops. It's fine, we still got plenty of time. I see you can be useful after all. That was Peyton's voice. You're still alive? Yes, I am. Well, good for you. In case you didn't know, we closed the traffic in and out of town. Don't think about trying to escape, it's too late. Okay. Just like escape? What are you talking about? Why'd the music pick up? This says I should try to go to the mountains when it's dark, but I'm kind of scared too. Did I give you something today? Yes, I gave you fish. That's right. I did find stuff, so I can sell that. More stuff spawn in, I'm guessing. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe not. I already got the key. Just try to keep going back and forth between here until it gets a little too late. I don't know if it relies on real time or what. If it's just from me clicking. Okay, real time. Still there. It's not the mountain, right? Okay, I gotta hurry. Yes. Whew. That was a little close. It was dark before her, with howling wind that pushed her back. Fields of butterblue flowers as far as the eye could see. It's a dream. The shapes of those petals all floated and danced in the wind, and their dances seemed to make shapes in the wind and the darkness. She stood there, the girl who was dreaming, and went back to her usual game. There was a petal. Did it look like a small child chasing a dog? Or perhaps it was simply an old man taking a walk. She kept at this for a while, waiting for her dream to end, or for something to happen, but nothing did. The wind blew, the flowers danced, and Phoebe played her game. Or, what a strange shape there. In the middle of the field, a mass of light blue detritus. Detritus? Hanging off the stems of the butterblues. Had they always been dead? How did Phoebe not notice that? The mass in the middle. It twisted and turned, its appendages growing and shrinking, crooked at unusual and undulating angles. Hey, it's an eldritch flower. An eldritch flower! It seemed to turn to her then. What might pass for eyes locked onto hers. Oh, I know you. Do you know me? You do, don't you? You should. That's what you were born for, after all. It's so cold here. Why did they take me away? I didn't want to leave. Did he know that? That father of yours? And where is he? I wanted to see him again. Is that supposed to be my grandfather? Phoebe tried to turn her head away, but here in this dark dream of hers, she couldn't move. Oh, I see it in your face. He is dead. Why? Why? I just wanted to stay. Why couldn't we have just kept living here? I was happy. All three of us were happy. Not you. We didn't need you. We've never needed you. Go away. Go away. Phoebe woke with a start, with something clawing at the front door. She kept herself still on the bed, willing the noise to stop. There. 1, 2. The scratches halted. Phoebe breathed out. Silence. And Phoebe, she went back to sleep. Okay. Go to sleep after that crazy dream and dogs at your door? Okay. Look at yourself. Make sure you're still normal. He likes flowers. Oh. Oh dear, he seemed to be in pain again. Phoebe hadn't even said anything yet, and still that expression was there. You're in pain. Yeah, it's something my old wounds start acting up, especially closer to nighttime. I'm sorry. Yeah, because it's your fault the sun sets every day. Oh, I was not aware that I did that. Phoebe. She really said, oh, I do? He said, you're the most gullible person I know. And she said, thank you. Phoebe might not have realized that that wasn't a compliment, but she was still happy to see Peyton smiling again. Okay, Phoebe. Okay, I thought we picked up too much. There's the itching man. A man was there, staring off in the distance. Every so often his fingers twitched. Twitching man, not itchy man. I thought he itched. He was like scratching at himself. Excuse me, are you twitching man? The man didn't say anything, but his hands shook. Phoebe wasn't sure if this was even his real name, but it certainly described him well enough. Miss Fanny says she needs you to pay off your debts. The dogs at night. Have you seen them? He whipped his head around and stared at Phoebe down. His eyes were bloodshot. They kill you if you're out at night. My buddy, he got caught by one of them. Tore him limb from limb. I'm sorry to hear that. If only he had a toadstool. Hey, have you heard? They say the dogs hate the smell of fungi. If you rub yourself down with them, they leave you alone. The man turned back towards the distance. If only I had a toadstool, then I wouldn't have to worry about those dogs. Wonder if it's true or if he's just, like, stupid. If I bring you a toadstool, will you pay off your debt to Miss Fanny? The man began to laugh, but Phoebe was unsure why. She nodded and decided to go find a toadstool. Should have one, yeah. You have it. Give it here. The man ripped the toadstool out of Phoebe's hands. With this, the dogs won't eat me. Not like my friend, I'll live. The man began to laugh where the toadstool touched his hands. Bright red bumps arose. And your debt to Miss Fanny? The man only continued laughing. Well, Phoebe had done her best. She decided to report back to Miss Fanny about this customer. I don't have enough to donate. If it isn't Phoebe, thanks for finding those customers for me. It's a big help. I'm glad they were able to pay you back. Pay me back? Well, it was close enough. They really didn't have any money, did they? Just between you and me, sometimes it's better to take people out of the picture than to continue investing in them. Fanny? What? If they kept at it, they would have continued to rack up debt, and there was no way they were going to be able to turn that around. In a way, it's like what you do at your grandfather's farm. Sometimes the plants aren't growing well, and you have to start from scratch again. Did you feed them to the dogs, Fanny? Weed out the old to make way for the new. Isn't that right, Phoebe? To be honest, Phoebe didn't quite understand what Fanny was saying, but she nodded her head anyway. That's my girl. And it wasn't all a waste, you know. That third customer, that stinky woman, she discovered a new way to counterfeit silver coin. She tried to pay off her debt with that, but I got a discerning eye, you see. We had a great chat about it. I wanted to know how she did it. She didn't want to share at first, but, well, I can be quite persuasive. The older woman let out a good... I'm a little scared of Fanny now. The older woman let out a laugh, and Phoebe nodded, to keep her talking. It was good to see the woman this happy. And with that, one job very well done. Ta-da! One shiny new key just for you. Phoebe took the key from Fanny's outstretched hand. Thank you, Miss Fanny. Anytime, Phoebes. And while you're at it, why don't you buy something? I don't want to buy anything. Buy some corn. I was gonna buy some corn. Oh, he's still there. He's not dead, so... Hold on. Does he like seeds? Oh, he likes corn. Oh no, he hates seeds, though. Okay. I will not give you the seeds, then. I will just plant the corn. I can give you a toadstool. I see you can be useful after all. Good day, Mr. Hugh. That's Sheriff Hugh to you. Good day, Sheriff Hugh. Better. You're still around? What's your name again? Phoebe. Well, Phoebe, you're lucky. Not many people make it this far in Edgefield. Most are taken by one of our local wildlife in the first day. She smiled at him. It was good to smile at people. Customers or not. They might become one in the future. His assistant ran in, a stack of paperwork in his hands. Ah, well, keep that lucky streak up, Phoebe. It's hard to keep replacing you lot. She nodded at him and went back to his work. fishy. Phoebe pulled her line in, spotting a large-looking fish at the end of her line. Just as she thought she had it, it thrashed away from her grasp, pulling both her and the fish into the river where it came from. Phoebe hit the water with a shock, letting go of the pole, reaching out to grab onto something. Flailing about, her hand hit something, and she grabbed at it, her lifeline. It began to pull her up, towards the water surface. Phoebe! She opened her eyes. Oh, must be the scene. She opened her eyes to see Peyton there, pulling her out of the water. Are you okay? I saw you go in. I lost my fish. Fish? Were you fishing? She fully stepped out of the river. Her hand was still in Peyton's grasp. Yes. It was bigger than I had anticipated, and it pulled me in. Ah, the river fish can be feisty around here, especially because of all the runoff from... He looked at her for a moment, then stopped. From... the farm. He didn't elaborate after that, and Phoebe hadn't been taught to pry into a customer's vague sentences. Sorry about your fish, and your fishing pole. Let me see if I can help you with that. He took a few steps down the river, eyes locked on any shapes in the water. Phoebe couldn't see anything, but perhaps that wasn't true for Peyton. And then, he took off at a frightening speed, rushing down the riverbank, and his hand thrust into the water and pulled out a fish with the line still stuck in his mouth. Peyton then leaned down to untangle the rest of the pole from where it had lodged itself in the riverbed. He jogged back up to her, fish in one hand, fishing pole in the other. Here we are. Luckily for us, the pole slowed it down. Might not have been able to catch it without it. Phoebe stared at this man for a few seconds. A few moments. She couldn't help but think, what a nice man he was. Her father would have liked him too, if he was there with her. He always liked customers who were easy to deal with, after all. So in a sense, it made sense that she liked Peyton. Her father would have. And it was with this thought in mind, repeated over and over, perhaps too often for the most, she accepted the fish and pole from him, and went back home, quite happy with herself. Aw, cute. Can we talk about it? No? Okay. I was gonna say, we did already talk to him today, so... Oh, you know what? I can plant my corn. Potatoes growing very slow. Hello again, Miss Fanny. If it isn't my favorite customer. You know, not a lot of people around here have a lot of money to spare, so they tend to avoid my store and stand in here all day with no customers. It's the absolute worst. But when you walk in, I know you got something for me. I can always count on my Phoebes. Phoebe smiled at the older woman. It was that easy. That easy customer smile she had practiced so many times. Oh, there it is. Her beautiful smile. Now, only thing more beautiful than her smile is... Take a guess. That's right, her coin. I knew it was going to be something, like, money-related. Now, how about a little purchase? Buy this. I can also donate. Wow, that's a lot. But I bet you can donate even higher. Yeah, we need to get 100 at some point. Oh, wait. Oh, because I bought seeds. That's right. I got one of each. It's getting so dark all of a sudden. Buy something. He just doesn't show up here. They keep telling me that he will. He never does. No, I'm gonna go back to the farm. Oh yeah, I have my key. Phoebe slid the key in her pocket to the padlock and turned. It opened. Phoebe can now enter. I feel like I won't be safe down here. Sleep? Yes, we'll explore tomorrow. Have to. I gotta overwrite. I did overwrite it. No, I did not. Yes. Oh, I guess it just says slot 0. I thought it was like save 0 or something. Again, a dark dream. The flowers all around her. Phoebe can see the dead mass of petals in the middle again, this time splitting in two. Both shapes angling down, mutating in frightening amorphous figures. A third, smaller shape turned itself towards Phoebe. We were happy. We were happy, and now I'm alone. I don't want to be alone. How does it feel? To steal someone's will from them. Force them to keep moving, even when everything hurts. You should be alone. I shouldn't be. I miss them. I miss them so much. Do you even think of them? Do you even have a soul to mourn their loss? No, because you're a monster. A monster who doesn't even know to mourn when their father dies. So is that supposed to be father and grandfather? And maybe that's like the mysterious experiment girl? What a monster you are. A horrible creature. Father, grandfather. They could only create monsters, no matter how hard they tried. A howling, a scratching. The shapes convulsed into one, ever turning and changing. Phoebe was in pain. She was in so much pain. And she awoke to howling in the distance. Breathe in, breathe out. And the howling faded away. She stared at the ceiling. It was dark in that old dusty room of her grandfather's. What a dark and depressing night. What's in here? On necromancy and science. The text written in time when people thought magic was real. In order to resurrect a soul, two things must be taken into consideration. The marriage of the bones and the familiarity of the caller. Marriage is the life force within the bones that fuels most of necromancer. Not. Maybe biological compounds that remain in the bone? Once a creature dies, the marriage begins to form. It is at its highest 1 to 2 weeks after death, the ideal time for resurrection, and slowly depletes afterward. Disregard the segments about spells. Its formulas and equations seem promising. When there is enough marriage with the bones, the act of resurrection is at easiest. Inject a source of power over the bones at pulsating frequencies. If known, call the owner's name. If the level of marriage is too low for a proper resurrection to occur, place a beloved item at the center of the point of the body before attempting injection. A beloved item is one that was well loved by the deceased and will help the soul recognize its body. More than one item can be used in cases where the soul is hard to find. In recent years, evidence has been shown that it's possible to create brand new souls, herein nouveau souls, by mixing the bones from multiple creatures in a single resurrection attempt. Nouveau souls might also be formed when the originating soul is too lost, damaged, or simply unwilling to return to the body, despite all the other conditions for typical resurrection having been met. No formula has been found to consistently create nouveau souls, but I hope to one day be the one to find it. Nouveau souls, nouveau bodies, dogs? Okay, so they're not dogs then? I'm so confused. Fairy tales of Eastern Kondorskiva, the goddess and her wolves. In the beginning of the world, the goddess of all that was lived a humble and quiet life in her cottage in the deep, luscious eastern woods. The local king and queens would make a pilgrimage to see her and ask for her blessing. She would prick her finger and place a drop of her blood on their forehead. As long as they ruled with wisdom and kindness, she would always protect their legacies. The king and queens thanked her and left with their retinue of guards, and many guards they had, for a king and queen never wanted to appear weak in front of others. And so, wherever they went, dozens and even sometimes hundreds of intimidating soldiers followed their steps. You could hear the approach of a royal, not by the call of the trumpet or a troubadour, but by the clanking of armor and swords jostling as the retinue made their way to the destination. As the guards and knights of men of intimidation crowded around the goddess's quiet cottage in the woods. They scoffed to themselves. How was it that a goddess could look so weak? She had no guards of her own. And as the pilgrims came and went, and the crowd of guards came and saw this isolated cottage in the woods, they began to talk among themselves. This was not a goddess, they would say. Their king was stronger, their queen more clever. Why was it that their liege had to bow their head to this witch in the woods? And the talk grew louder and more daring, and after one too many drinks, a plan was formed. It was not yet time for a royal pilgrimage, but the guards went anyway to that isolated cottage in the woods. The goddess of all that was greeted them, even though there was no royalty to bestow a promise on amongst their ranks. The guards pulled out their swords and skewered the goddess where she stood. Her blood splashed upon the ground, upon their swords, and upon them. They all laughed. This was not a goddess. This was an old, weak woman in the woods. But as they laughed, the woman upon their swords looked up and smiled at them. They stopped. Some attempted to pull back their blades, but found a resistance. The blood upon their armor sizzled. It ate through the metal. It ate through their skin. The men screamed. The blood now ate through their bones, fused their hands to the handles of their sword. They couldn't flee. They couldn't run. And there they all stood, screaming in agony, as the goddess of all that was turned to them and spoke. Swords of the crown, I hear that you think I ought to have guards. Is that true? They all cried out in pain, in fear, in apology. She smiled and continued to speak to these bodies, slowly melting in the forest floor. If guards you think I ought to have, then guards I will make. You and your families will serve me until the end of all that is. Remember what you have done, and remember what you must now do. Serve me. Serve the crown, my wolves. And from the masses of undulating flesh on the forest floor did rise pitch-black creatures. The goddess's dogs stood up upon their legs and howled at the sky. Not a drop of their humanity remained, and the goddess pulled the swords from her body, covered in her divine blood. And there, surrounded by her loyal guards, did she meld all of the swords together, her blood binding each of their weapons into one large blade. The goddess held aloft her new sword, the goddess's might. She pledged this sword and her new wolves to serve the crown, forever and always, until the end of everything. Interesting. So maybe it is the girl that had the experiments done on her that has the dogs now. There's a door in front of Phoebe. There are boards covering the door, preventing her from advancing any further. If she wanted to open the door, she would need an inhuman amount of strength. Okay. Good to know, I guess. He likes flowers. Let's give him a flower. Ah, this is nice. Thank you. Oh, thank you again, Mr. Peyton. I almost said Mr. Phoebe. Really, it was nothing. It was rude of the fish to attack innocent women, after all. I will do my best not to lose the next fish. That's the spirit. And if you ever need any help, I'm not too shabby of an angler myself. Yes, the way you ran after that fish and dove right in. Very impressive. Ah. Oh no, he looks like he was in pain again. Phoebe shuffled her feet left to right. Oh, why did she keep doing this to him? Well, normally I just use a fishing pole, like I used to. But, not much time for that nowadays. And I acted before I really thought about it the other day. It was very appreciated either way. It would be nice to go fishing with you someday. Yeah, that sounds nice. Maybe once all this was over. Oh, of course. You're very busy, and I wouldn't want to take up any of your time. Busy? Yeah. How can I check affection levels, I wonder? Doesn't seem like I can. I click on something. My potato's done. Does anybody like potatoes? Would have to be, Oh, he likes potatoes. He's okay with potatoes, but we should just do mushrooms because they're easier to get. Or they're pretty easy to get, I should say. Not necessarily easier, but simple to get. And give more points. Here's a mushroom. I don't know why he likes mushrooms, but sure. I like mushrooms. I shouldn't say that. Mushrooms are kind of cool. You again? If you have no business here, get out. Hey, I thought we were friends. That was rude. So much stuff. I want to talk to her. Phoebe opened her mouth to greet the older woman, but she stopped at the last second. Fanny was staring out the window, watching the clouds drift by. Something about the sight sparked something deep within Phoebe. Recognition. Oh, I didn't see you there. Hello, Phoebe. It was a strange thing to ask the woman, but she seemed sad, and Phoebe knew it was important to keep others happy. What shapes were you seeing in the clouds? The older woman stared at Phoebe for a second, too. The question had seemingly caught her off guard. Oh, well, no one's ever asked me that before. Aw. Maybe Fanny is just a sad woman who isn't appreciated enough. She didn't answer Phoebe's question, and to that Phoebe began to fear that perhaps she had said the wrong thing. A lot of talking this stream. I'm sorry. Floundering, she attempted to find something. Anything to say. I would stare at the door and find shapes. When I was minding my father's store, that is. She had said it. The first person she had ever told about her secret game. But the gamble paid off. There on Fanny's face was the hint of a smile. Store? My father's pawn shop. Huh. You ran a shop? I helped. Well, if that isn't a pleasant surprise. The older woman let out a sigh and looked back out the window. Yeah, then you'd know the inherent joys of standing in the place every day for hours on end. Anything to stave off the madness, right? She smiled at Phoebe, so she smiled back. Good, she was happy again. I don't suppose you're looking for a job. I would love to have a bit of help around the shop. My grandfather. Ah, right. Well, he's probably dead. No offense. But I get it. Let me know when you give up on him. And in the meantime, why don't you help enriching my day by buying something? What are we gonna buy this one? Popcorn. What? Oh, corn. Oh wait, I can. Yeah, I spent too much time. It's not good. I want to get back to 100 again so I can do that last donation tier. I think that's how we get her highest, thing. Her highest affection. There we go. Now I can do a donation tier and have more. Wow, a big spender. Just so you know, we don't do refunds. Okay, so that's all I can do then. At least there. More fish. I think it just gives a certain amount every day. I'm gonna sell one of those. Because they said that Toad still wards off the dogs. Yes. Also, yes. Time slot 2. Yes. Still a routine day, huh? Alright, well, let's find something for him. He likes flowers, but he also likes fish. Oh, well, there's only one fish, so maybe not. Maybe he's not getting the fish. You can have a flower. He likes flowers. It's like a dating sim, but it's scary. Well, hello there, Phoebe. It's a good day, Mr. Peyton. Are you settling into your new life here? I know the townsfolk can be distant. Miss Fanny is nice. And I have met the sheriff, Mr. Hugh. At that, Peyton's face flashed with anger. Hugh. Yeah, I suppose he's still around, isn't he? Do you know him, Mr. Peyton? He turned around and carded his hand through his hair. No response. I met him shortly after I arrived. Miss Fanny showed me the way to my grandfather's farm. She barely heard it, but Peyton muttered to himself. There was someone who knew where Isaac was. It'd be him. Should I ask him about my grandfather's current whereabouts? No, absolutely not. Oh. Seems a little scared there. I mean, for your own safety. If you can help it, I'd stay away from him. He's bad news. But, of course, you're free to make your own decisions. No, he seems genuinely worried. She wrung her hands together and kept her head down. He seemed agitated. How did she always manage to upset him? I think it's because he cares. I really appreciate you letting me stay here in your barn. I realize I forgot to say that before. We certainly haven't gotten off on the right foot, have we? He gave a weak laugh, and Phoebe smiled slightly. This was a good turn of events, she thought. Let's try this again. My name's Peyton, and it's good to meet you, Miss Phoebe. If there's anything you need help with, feel free to reach out. He was smiling. He was smiling and happy, and Phoebe was so overjoyed. Finally, she felt like she had a better handle on how to deal with this particular customer of her grandfather's. And with that, I've kept you here long enough. I look forward to our next chat. She thanked him again and turned back to what she had been doing before. Okay. No, I don't have anything else to plant. Alright, let's go sell. Why donate? I'd say keep it coming, but the game needs to have a cutoff, you know. She said you can't donate anymore, sorry. Talk to her. Phoebes, there's my girl. Hello, Miss Fanny. Phoebe had never seen the other woman so happy before. Phoebe smiled even harder. Oh, it was so good to see a customer happy. Let me tell you, that job that you did for me, wow. Talk about opening doors. You see, that woman and her experiments, because of her and you, we can now manufacture our own coins. Sure, they're fake, but I'm the only one who has a keen enough eye to tell. And with this, our troubles are going to go away. If I can just get rid of that sheriff and his blocking of the trade routes, we'll be rich. Oh, I'm so happy for you, Miss Fanny. No, didn't you hear me? We'll be rich. That includes you. Phoebe just stared at the other woman. Rich? Well, as long as Miss Fanny was happy, Phoebe was happy. What, nothing to say? I've decided to share my spoils with you, Phoebe. Thank you. Well, don't just thank me just yet. We still need to make the coins. And I need to get to work at getting rid of that sheriff. I see. But in the meantime, how about some shopping? Buy corn again. Wait, what do I have in my pocket? and sell some of this. And then go back, because I want to give the toadstool to this guy. Ah, Phoebe, correct? Yes, Sheriff Hugh. You've got a good memory. No wonder you've lasted this long. She smiled at him. Listening was important. Letting him talk was important. That's what her father always told her. Don't interrupt. Can you share some of that luck with your fellow villagers? They keep dying. I'm unsure of how to go about that. What a weird girl you are. Yes, I am. She's like, yeah, I'm weird. A silence fell, and Phoebe said nothing. She couldn't read this man's face, but it was always a safe bet to let others talk. How have you kept alive so far? I've stayed inside at night. And kept at Edgefield? Now that I think of it, most of them died while out in the fields. No, I only come to town to do business. Come to town? Yes. And where are you coming to town from? My grandfather's farm. Grandfather? Yes, I'm looking for him. He didn't ask any more questions for a few moments, just staring at Phoebe. Strangely, he had a ghost of a smile on his face. It didn't seem natural on him, and it didn't set Phoebe at ease. Not all smiles soothed others, apparently. Just then the door opened, and Fanny walked in, carrying a large cloth sacks. Got the stuff you wanted. Oh, Phoebe. She threw the bags on the table, effectively cutting off Phoebe's view of the sheriff. We can continue this conversation later. Come see me again, Phoebe. Phoebe took her cue to leave and headed out the door, but just as she stepped out, Fanny pulled her to the side. Hey there, Phoebes. Great seeing you again. Getting friendly with our sheriff there, huh? Well, would you hate to see a valuable customer get offed? So maybe don't... Don't what? Get friendly with him. I mean, I'm not gonna stop you. You do you. But if you're looking for some advice, probably wouldn't suggest it. Anyway, look forward to seeing you at my shop. Nobody seems to like him. Phoebe watched her walk away, deciding what to do next. Guess I'll leave. Going there at night is required for his ending. But I just don't know what to do. Just sit there and wait, maybe? Till 8? Or at least 7 something? I mean, I guess I could try it and just restart the day if I have to. Skip through the dialogue. I have the toadstool, so if that part was true, then that'll be good. Getting awfully late, though. Guessing those are the mountains. It's the only mountains that I can think of to go to. Nope, that's death. It'd be that one, right? Yeah. Give him flour. Let's do this because we already saw it. do want to see how I'm supposed to do that mountain thing, though. I don't know if it has to be on a certain quote-unquote day or what. So let me go ahead and check this. See if there's any guides. Hub. Just guides. Oh, there aren't any on Steam at least. Oh, spoiler-free walkthrough. Great. So for Fanny's... and then you just gotta wait until she invites you to do something and say yes. Hugh's ending is bad guy. Give him toadstools. Have an interesting conversation with him, I guess. And find him outside my farm. Interesting. How do I do it with Peyton? Let me see with the... Finish 10 conversations, you can unlock the last 4 locked until you see both of his heart events. Once you progress with Peyton far enough, go catch a fish in the mountains. Once you progress with Peyton far enough, head up to the mountains a little later in the day. So maybe we haven't progressed with him enough then. That must be it. Okay, cool. Alright. I want to get Peyton's ending first. I like Peyton. He's my favorite. I mean, it kind of makes sense, because Fanny is a shopkeeper. Or we have, oh, I should have paused. Whoops. Whatever, I can still sell stuff, I guess. Phoebes, there's my girl. Hello, Miss Fanny. Oh wait, we haven't seen- yeah, we haven't talked about this yet. I'll just go back home, I guess. Oh, actually, I need to take this to Hugh. I don't have enough time, though. Yes. Slut. True. I'm excited to see where this goes. I want to learn about the dogs and stuff, you know? Okay. Let's go here. Plant my corn. What are these? I guess radishes. Probably. No flour? I need a flower! Or a fish. A fish works. Wait, does he like fish? Yes, he loves fish. I knew he really liked flowers and potatoes, so I had to make sure that was one of the things. I'll sell stuff first. Oh, I shouldn't have sold the other toad. Well, I guess the toadstool doesn't help me anyway. So just give it to him. Ah, Phoebe, correct? Yes, Sheriff Hugh. No, we already talked to this guy about this. This was the one that we were supposed to have yesterday. Everyone's like, don't go near him. Okay. Flowers. For our man. Here, Peyton. Another hot one, hmm? Yes, the temperature is quite high. I wasn't sure what he was talking about at first. I was like, a hot flower? Don't work too hard. I won't. Or do. Hmm? Which one? Whatever you feel like, but I just worry about you out there in the heat. And don't fret about me worrying. Okay. I love him. Oh, can't I just go down to him? I have things to sell you. Before Phoebe can say anything, Fanny pulled out a brown satchel with gleaming metal pieces. We're nearly there, Phoebes. Look at all this coin. Oh, it's beautiful. It's fake. Yeah, go ahead, take it. There's plenty more where that came from. Phoebe did as she was told, and took the satchel from the woman's hands. I've been handing out plenty of these bags to all the villagers I can find, to remind them of what we could be getting if a certain sheriff hadn't shut the roads. And with that, I believe our plan is just about in place. Just think about it, Phoebe. You wouldn't be stuck here in the town anymore. You could travel and trade there. I heard our flora and fauna is quite rarity. Imagine what the asking price would be. I see. Phoebe moved the satchel between her hands, never quite finding a comfortable grip. It's just, well, I do need someone to mind the store. I can't do it all by myself, so what do you say? Will you take the job? I know. Your grandpa or whatever. He's most definitely dead, but I know people get sentimental over stuff like that. Once you make up your mind, come talk to me. You can shake up this town for good. Okay. Did I give him his thing yet? Yeah. 5 more selling stuff, I guess. Because our affection level still isn't high enough for the mountain thing. It said there's only like 10 conversations with him, though. Maybe just not late enough. Also be part of it. Yeah, I guess I already watered those. Go up there at like 7 and then just go back to the farm. Both. That's not. Alright. Go to sleep then. It was lighter than darker, the flowers reaching up, their petals pointed up towards the sun, and then down, down, back into the ground from which they sprung. Beneath them, shadows formed, the shapes ever-changing. And then, the shapes moved up, up, towards the sun, covering everything. The shape from before was there, at once smaller and larger than Phoebe was used to. It did not turn its eyes towards her, but it spoke. Why do you call yourself that? Phoebe, that name isn't yours. Father gave it to me. Father. Why did he not love me? Why did he take me away? If he loved me enough, he would have saved me. If grandfather loved me enough, he would have stopped him from taking me. Instead, they just created monsters. More and more and more of them. Enough to fight, enough to kill. But never enough to save, to heal. We were happy. We were. Are you happy, Phoebe? Now? I don't know. Father never even told you what happiness was, did he? He took me away and made you. But you don't even know what it means to be happy. So is she one of the dogs? How disgusting you are. Pitiful. You won't ever be me. You will never be who they wanted you to be. So she was supposed to, like, replace the other girl, I guess. The vision before her eyes swam, the darkness darker, the lightness lighter, and she awoke with an uneasy start. The night moved on, ever onward. It's another routine day. Flower. We gotta do the gifts first, so that their affection rises. Say, Phoebe, why exactly are you giving me all these gifts? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought, He laughed. He was happy, but still she felt nervous. Phoebe did not understand why. I appreciate it. I'm sure you've noticed by now, but Edgefield isn't known for its generosity. So the little things you give me, it's the highlight of my day. Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Are there any items in particular that you would like to see? Items? Honestly, I'm happy with really anything you wanted to share. But I guess I've always been fond of fish. And there's this wildflower that grows here. When I first came here, it shocked me a bit. It's this baby blue color, and there's some fields of them just out there on the hillside. Sometimes it looks like you're gazing at the sky. That's the Butterblue flowers, right? Oh, the Butterblue flower. That's what we've been giving him. That's my favorite, too. Really? So you're saying that if I were to get you anything, you'd want a Butterblue flower? No, I'm fine. You don't need to do anything for me. Ah, yes. Of course. Well, regardless, thank you for the presents. I appreciate it. The two smiled at each other for a bit. It was easy to talk to this man, Phoebe thought. Oh, I don't have anything to plant. Grab some stuff from my way. I always think the people standing there are new, but they're never are. Keep the toadstool. For scary sheriff man. Hey, Phoebes. Ready to take on a new job? I think this is her ending. Which I guess we can get first. I don't mind Fanny. Excellent. Here's what I was thinking. Phoebe stood behind the front counter of Fanny's sack, prepared to greet any customers who might wander in. But today of all days would not be the day that there would be customers arriving at Fanny's shop. From where Phoebe stood, she could hear a commotion outside. Yelling. The whole town was out there, it seemed like. And there, yes, the old woman's voice cut through the noise. Whatever it was that Fanny was saying, Phoebe could tell that the crowd was listening to her eagerly. And then another voice. This one Phoebe recognized. A man's voice, an angry-sounding man, the sheriff. Phoebe stood and stared at the door in front of her, and smiled. Oh, she knew exactly what to do, and was going to do the best job she could. More noises, more yelling. A gunshot. Phoebe shifted from foot to foot. She's still not going to go investigate, though. It was no good to sit down. What if a customer walked in? She was going to greet them. A flurry of gunshots. Screams. Phoebe's father always said, you can never redo a customer's first impression, so make the best impression you can. Dogs howling from outside. It's literally just the fucking apocalypse, and she's like, okay. Shots. The sound of a frantic mob running. She shifted from foot to foot, and smiled wider. This was her first day at Fanny's Sack, and she was going to do the best she could. No one arrived. Then, or for many hours later. And still Phoebe stood. The noises from outside gradually softened. When the sun set, the door opened. "Welcome." It was Fanny. She looked worse for wear. Dirt and red stains covered the front of her shirt. Phoebe's. The old woman smiling at her. Phoebe smiled back. "We did it. We opened the roads. Starting tomorrow, everything will change." 1 year later, Phoebe stood at the front desk of Fanny's. Oh, okay, Fanny's Emporium. She smoothed down her uniform and double-checked her face in the mirror. Perfect. Phoebe was a perfect host. The bell over the door chimed. In walked a customer. "Welcome." She turned her attention to the new guest, who had stopped in the middle of the room to stare at her. She had a vague recollection of this man, but decided to ignore it. She had to keep her mind on her work, after all. "Oh, it's Peyton. Aw." "Phoebe." "Welcome to Fanny's Emporium, the best and only store in town. New goods every day, every hour. Buy now, before it's gone. You're gonna regret it." She had memorized these words. Miss Fanny had requested she greet customers in the same way, which Phoebe was happy to do. Miss Fanny was so nice and friendly to Phoebe, she quite enjoyed her time working here at the ever-expanding shop. The man simply stared at her, then ran his hand through his hair. He looked in pain. Phoebe would frown, but she was at work, so she smiled harder. "And what brings you in today?" "Phoebe, are you okay?" A customer, asking her about herself? That was strange. "Moldy fruit is 50% off today." Girl. Please. She'll never learn. "I tried to find you after the incident last year, but after the roads were reopened, there were so many people and I lost track of you." "We are nearly out of flour. Stock up now before it's gone." "Hugh was murdered by the townspeople. Fanny took over as sheriff, as mayor, as dictator. Edgefield is unrecognizable." It was true. She's a dictator now. Okay. It was true, the town had changed significantly since Fanny had taken over. But she had revitalized the town. How dare this customer try to sully the name of the woman he was buying goods from? "Coupons are sent out every week. Make sure to check your mailboxes." "Phoebe, say something." He moved forward to grab her shoulders, but she stepped back. She flashed him a smile, but secretly pushed a button on the underside of the counter she was stationed at. "Is there something you are looking for?" "You. I wanted to talk to you. Did you ever find your grandfather? A cure?" "Excuse me, but loitering is not allowed on the premises." Fanny emerged from the back room, a stack of money in her hands. She had been counting her profits again, it seemed like. The customer never once took his eyes off of Phoebe. She smiled at him, but said nothing. So odd. Why is she acting like this? "If you're not gonna buy something, get out." "Fanny, what did you do to her?" "Do? Nothing. She just worked in here at my shop. She used to run her father's pawn shop. It was the perfect fit." I mean, she did act like that in the beginning of the game as well. "Isn't that right, Phoebe?" "Working at Fanny's Emporium has given me the opportunity to develop my communication and leadership skills." "That's my girl." "And are you happy here, Phoebe?" Finally, a question Phoebe could answer from her heart. She didn't even wait for Fanny to prompt her into responding, when she said, "Yes." "There, now stop bothering my employee. She's happy you haven't purchased anything, and you haven't purchased anything, so..." "Very well. Then I'll be taking my leave." He looked at Phoebe one last time. Again, that look of pain in his face. Turned around and reached for the door. "Oh, that door's only for paying customers." "Excuse me?" "Only paying customers are permitted to leave via the front door. All, ungrateful window shoppers are to leave by the loading docks." "As should be. Now!" Fanny smiled at the man and pointed down the dimly lit corridor that led to the back of the premises. "I don't like that. Unless you're rethinking about purchasing something. You can go ahead and leave." "Fanny, you're gonna drive this town into the ground." As long as I get paid out of it. She shooed him off. He gave one last glare to Fanny and went down the corridor. Thank you, Miss Fanny. What a professional you are. I knew I hired the right person for the job. And as a treat, why don't you go cloud gazing later today? That would be wonderful, Miss Fanny. But after your shift is up. Of course. Oh, look at them. I mean, it's a little scary, but she's cute enough. Her little smile. She's very happy. She's very happy to be working, I guess. Fanny went back to counting her money, and Phoebe went back to staring at the front door, ready to intercept any new customer who might wander in. The two women worked in silence, a calm aura surrounding them. These were the two who had worked together before and would work together again. Moving out of the way of the other, asking for a pencil or paper with just a look. Phoebe didn't know it, but she was becoming the mayor of Edgefield's right-hand woman. And the feeling inside her, a feeling of being content, of routine and of certainty. She was back with her father in the pawn shop. She was with Miss Fanny and I don't know why I said Miss H. Miss Fanny in the general store. The memories were the one. I think it's just supposed to say the memories were one and the same, and the next days melded into each other. The customer had mentioned her grandfather. That memory brought up an uneasy feeling in her. It was a new feeling for Phoebe, one she didn't care for. So she shut it down and simply did not think of her grandfather, or of the painful-looking customer who had claimed to know her. All she needed was this: the store, Miss Fanny, and a steady stream of customers that she could greet and tend to. Day in and day out, the same, ever and onwards, did Phoebe live the rest of her days. Fanny's ending, under new management. That's silly. Alright, which one are we learning from? 3 or... 3, okay. Okay, so we're gonna say no to Fanny. We're gonna get these fish, though. Okay. Now, we can give our man some fish. I think we already did this conversation, right? Yeah. He's just like, why are you giving me gifts? And she's like, I don't know. Another toadstool. Have we talked to him yet? I don't think so. Phoebe, good of you to come. It was that smile again. Please make yourself comfortable. Thank you. You mentioned your grandfather. Have you found him yet? No. I see. Maybe I could help you with that. What's your grandfather's name? Isaac Wright. Ha. Fancy that. Well, you must be Phoebe Wright then. Yes. I've heard of you. Your grandfather and I are acquaintances. See, I must be the sheriff that was doing the writing then. A brilliant man Isaac was. Your father, too. But you said your father just passed away. How sad. Now there's just you. She smiled. It was good he knew her grandfather. It was good to keep others happy. He didn't teach you anything before he died, did he? He taught me many things. Oh, such as? How to mind the store. I see. Are you disappointed about that? And how to treat customers. Anything with concoctions? Chemicals? No, I was not allowed into his workshop. I guided customers to it, then let them in. Nothing? I'm sorry. Damn. Well, it's good to see his granddaughter still alive and well. I'm also looking for Isaac, you see. Oh. He was quite sad after his son left, and his granddaughter... He cut himself off and glanced at her. Again, that smile was on his face. It was a difficult time for him, you see. and he was not quite well in his mind. The stress of it all might have gotten to him, and he wandered off into the frontier. I see. Keep your eyes out for him when you're out there, or his body in any case. Thank you. I will. He smiled at her, and he kept smiling. Phoebe smiled back, but her hands grasped tight. He excused himself, and Phoebe saw herself out. So I guess we just say no when she asks us to work. No. Ah, well then. Okay. Oh, wait. There's stuff to collect here. Did not see it at first. Have to go back up the mountain later anyway. Got a lot of money that we don't really need. Oh, my inventory's full. Whoops. Would you say anything different now that I said no? I guess not. Just keeps the option there since that's her ending, I guess. I had one of these earlier. I guess. There's one more key item that I haven't gotten, apparently. He's supposed to leave at some point. Both of them are, Peyton and the sheriff. Sheriff's still there. Peyton is supposed to be visiting me at the mountains at some point. I don't know where he's at. Just like going through everything. Going back and forth, trying to see where it'd be. He's still home. It has to be a new day. It was lighter than darker. The flowers reaching up, their petals pointed up towards the sun, then down, down, back in the ground from which they sprung. We already read this, didn't we? Yeah. So we don't have to deal with Fanny anymore. Not really, anyway. Let's give him a flower. Hey, Phoebe, why do you apologize for everything? Well, Father told me if I hurt someone, I ought to apologize. What if they were hurting you first? I don't think that would change anything. Really? And what if someone hurt you and you didn't apologize? Would that make you upset? No. So then what does apologizing do? It makes the other person happy. Sometimes. I'm not sure, but Father told me to... Right. He sighed and ran his hand through his hair. Phoebe waited for him to continue on. It was quite obvious he was going to keep going. She smiled a tiny smile herself. feeling proud that she was starting to get used to this customer's mannerisms. I thought it was a little odd. I pointed a gun at you the very first time we met, and you've never brought it up since. Do your, customers usually carry guns? Sometimes. At Father's store, we would sometimes get unruly customers. Father said that sometimes customers need to feel in control in order for us to get the best deal. Phoebe. It's important to treat all customers kindly. That's what Father said. Even if they don't, Right. And Phoebe, I'm sorry for pointing a gun at you. I won't do it again. Oh, thank you. She didn't know why, but the air felt easier to breathe. Is this what an apology could do? Oh, we got corn. Alright. Keep forgetting to switch back over to, mouse once I'm done with conversations. Just tearing the scales off a fish. You again? If you have no business here, get out. Huh? Okay. That was different. Oh, here we go. Phoebe was going about her usual day when her foot landed wrong in the ditch, twisting both it and her down to the ground. She hit the ground with a painful thud, and would have cried out in pain. That is, if she did not also hit her head, blacking out. She awoke, who knows how much later, to a not-so-distant howl. Phoebe needed to be home. She didn't want to die. It was a strange, fleeting thought in her mind. Her father had died. She was going to die. Death never seemed to scare her until today. Until now. She turned and immediately stopped when the pain shot through her foot. Her foot. She couldn't put any weight on it. She needed to get her cream. This time, not so distant at all, Phoebe looked up and found herself face to face with what she could only describe as a monster. Huh? A hulking, dripping, sharpened monster carved from the depths of the darkness around her. Phoebe! A shot rang out, and the creature, the monster, screamed. She turned to look at what had hit the creature, but something had pulled her to her throbbing feet, pulling her away from the monster. Oh, thank God Peyton was there. It was Peyton, his gun in one hand, his other white-knuckled grip on her wrist. Why is it out so early? It's only 7. He shot behind them once, twice, while they ran, Phoebe stumbling, trying to hold back tears. It hurt. It hurt a lot. Why aren't you at home? His voice was tense, and he hadn't even looked at her, so she couldn't read his mood. I fell. At this he stopped and looked down at where she was slumping. It's dangerous out here. You could get killed. I'm sorry. She was in pain. So much pain. And now she was going to cry in front of one of her grandfather's customers. Let's get you home. He kept his face turned, looking behind them. Phoebe felt her ankle throb. She could see that her skin had cracked from where she had fallen. Huh? Her skin cracked. I knew the lotion had to do something. It was this sight, the spider lines emanating around her ankly bone, feeling the darkness around her, that made her really feel all the ways and in between how she had failed. Her father had never come out of the back room. Her grandfather was gone, and now she couldn't even listen to kind customers' requests. Why couldn't she just do things right, for once? Oh. There. It was that thought that pushed the tears over the edge. She kept her head down, hoping that perhaps Peyton wouldn't notice. She needed to get a hold of herself. She needed to... No, he's your friend. He'll comfort you. Phoebe. He moved closer to her, and suddenly the air around her was warm. Hot, even. She held herself very, very still. I'm gonna pick you up, but you have to promise not to look. Look? She didn't mean to ask. She didn't mean to talk back to him. But she was in so much pain, and it was just so warm. Did he have a fever? Is he gonna turn into a dog? Whatever he was going to say was cut off by another howl in the distance. The same monster? Another one? Shit. He grabbed her, pulling her up against his chest. Yes, he was burning up, and began running back towards her grandfather's farm. She kept her head down. She was, if nothing else, very good at following instructions. And perhaps she might have enjoyed the heat of him, especially after the chill of the night, and of the creatures that chased them both. She reached up, slowly, as if he wouldn't notice her that way, and she wrapped her arms around his shoulders, and buried her head into his neck. If someone were to ask her what she was doing, she would simply say that she was accomplishing two things. First was that Peyton, in truth, did not have a very secure grip on her, having grasped her quite quickly, and then running about, so she was simply adjusting her positioning for the safety of both participants. No, you're hugging him because you like him. The second was perhaps a bit of a lie, but in her mind, she was simply using the excess heat of his body to evaporate away her tears. It was simply a logical use of her current circumstances. That was all. They burst into the old farmhouse, Peyton sitting her down on the kitchen table. Here. Now, stay inside. She thought to say thank you. She thought to grab onto him and hold him there. But before all that, she looked up. His back was to her. He was closing the door behind him to leave, but for a flash in the mirror, she saw his eyes. Red. Blazing red. A chill ran up her spine. The door closed, and a long, restless night for Phoebe began. Oh. The clawing at the farmhouse door. I bet that's been him the whole time. He, like, locks himself in the barn. So that he doesn't, like, attack anyone. Maybe. Phoebe was used to this unusual routine. The routine of the shapes in her dreams. Its eyes looking ever around, then alighting on hers. How long have you been here now? And meeting people, making friends. How disgusting. They don't know who you are. A girl who isn't even a girl. A monster. I'm sorry. Did he teach you to say that? To get people to like you? That's all he ever taught you, wasn't it? To get people to like you. He never taught me anything, either. He was busy, you know that. Must know that. They always were, the two of them. Busy. But we were happy. Yes. We were happy. I'm so tired. Will you let me rest? I don't want to keep going. Please let go of me. I'm sorry. He didn't teach you how to do that either, did he? Who are we but tools for their twisted experiments? It doesn't matter what happens to the monsters once their creators have passed. Please. Please let me rest. Please? The dream shifted around them both. The shape broke into two, then three, then into too many pieces for Phoebe to count. And time went on. So is she, like, in her body or something? Not sure. Skin still looks smooth, huh? Oh wait, we need to get a gift. Oh, what? Oh, I didn't realize I got stuff already. Must have been from yesterday. Oh, well, I'm supposed to get a toadstool for that guy. Whoops. Sheriff! I don't know why you're being mean to me now. Phoebe. Perfect timing. I must admit that I was not telling you the whole truth before, about what happened to your grandfather. He didn't just wander off, you see. He was attacked by one of our dogs. Disgusting, don't you agree? Attacking such a frail old man. He was tending to him. He loved dogs and raised ours with such kindness. when one of them bit him and then escaped. And now that dog is out there terrorizing others. My grandfather was bit? Yes, and then wandered off. We fear the dog was rabid, you see. And your grandfather, I'm sorry to say, he is most certainly dead. But the dog that did this to him, it has to be put down. How dangerous. Yes, you agree, don't you? After our last chat, I sent a few men to look at your grandfather's farm. It had been such a long time since everyone had lived there. And what did they find? But the rabid dog. He'd been hiding out on that farm. Oh, how scary. Yes, how scary indeed. Are you talking about Peyton? You're lucky to be alive. He might have bit you too. Phoebe, would you help me catch this heinous dog? Yes. I'm sorry we couldn't find your grandfather, but we can offer you instead revenge. I see. She smiled at him. He smiled back at her. Phoebe had never fully understood the feeling of revenge. It was one of the many words people use that she never fully quite grasped the meaning. But to correct someone, well, that was simply unheard of. So she smiled. After today, meet me at the crossroads in front of the farmhouse. We'll get this sorted out quickly. It's what your grandfather would have wanted. Yes. I'm not meeting him. He's ugly and dumb. You stay away from Pete. You stay away from him. We like Pete in here. Here's a flower, Peyton. Peyton was staring off into the distance. Phoebe couldn't help but note that his eyes seemed the same as usual, a bright splash of warmth. Not red, not a deep, violent red. She should have greeted him, but she kept thinking of that night and what she had seen after she had looked up, even after he had asked her not to. And like the fool she was, she did. She had looked up. How rude was she to invade a customer's privacy and then feel frightened of him? Especially when he didn't know who she was. What a monster she herself was. I'm sorry. She said the first thing in her mind, to stop herself from thinking further, to stop herself from tumbling down. Well, good day to you too. I'm sorry. Look, let's just not talk about that. I looked. She didn't mean to interrupt him. I'm guessing he probably knows. There were a lot of things she was doing lately that she didn't mean to. What was wrong with her? Finally, he looked at her. His eyes were normal, and she just had to remember that. What did you see? You were warm, and your eyes. Ah. I'm sorry. You asked me not to, and I didn't mean to, but that doesn't matter because... Look, just... You know it's dangerous out there at night. Now you know firsthand. Yes. She twisted her hands this way and that. Oh, what was wrong with her? Why couldn't she just listen? Are you scared of me now? She should have just said no. Why couldn't she get something right for once? I'm sorry. I know I can't. I won't hurt you, Phoebe. Phoebe? I'm sorry. He ran his hands through his hair, but she didn't notice because all she could think about was why. Hey, are you listening to me? Oh, wait. Her eye was weird. He placed his hands on her shoulder gently. Again, just like that night, the air around her was warm. He was still warm. I can't explain what you saw. I can't explain anything. I don't want to get you involved. But I'm on your side, okay? The warmth around her, and the steady tones of Peyton's voice were pushing at her mind. And finally, she felt her mind's grip on herself restored. She felt herself relax, and return to herself, to the girl she had always been. Thank you, Mr. Peyton. His hand dropped from her shoulders, and he leaned back. The warmth was gone, but he didn't seem to be in pain. That was good. She needed to keep her grandfather's customers in good spirits. I will follow your advice to disregard the events of the previous evening. Well, it's good you seem to be back to normal. Yes, your encouragement was much appreciated. If there's anything... She stopped, something in her heart tumbling. She thought nothing of it, and continued. If there's anything you need, please let me know. Of course. Thanks, Phoebe. Anytime. I wanna know what he's gonna do. Oh, Phoebe, there you are. Are you ready to help us capture the dog? Oh, no. Bad day for it. Come find me later. It's important to deal with this sooner than later. We weren't you getting hurt after all. Is this a demo? I'm confused. Can't I... Can I get, go for the door? Not the sheriff, but our wolf boy. I wasn't aware that this was a demo. That's kind of sad. Has 3 endings. It doesn't seem like a demo. So we can go fishing. We can. Some fish. Oh, wait. I can also grab a flower. So. There's 2 more endings. Surely it has to be with him and Peyton, but I don't know what I need to do with Peyton. So I can just sleep. Are you happy, Phoebe? The scene around her was the same. She couldn't see the shape she had dreamt so many times before. I hope you are. I hope that you're gaining something from my pain. My bones were not meant to keep moving, not after death. Okay, so she does literally have the body of the granddaughter. You're happy. While I'm in so much pain. You don't know how to return them to me. Father never taught you, and the grandfather I knew, he's dead. You must know that. He's dead. The man who could have loved you, could have loved me. He no longer breathes. I wish you were happy, too. Was that regret in your eyes? A monster with regrets. How funny. How funny. The darkness envelops Phoebe, and she sleeps. A deep, deep sleep. Only have 1 crop left. You ever gonna tell him about the creepy door in the basement? How are things out there on the farm? I'm not able to check out there in the day, so I've been trying to check in on the farm when I can at night. Check in? Phoebe hadn't even known that he was leaving the barn at night. It's good. There was a part of her that wanted to ask questions. Peyton often trailed off at the end of sentences, or left things unexplained. But to ask a customer such an invasive question, she couldn't do it. And more importantly, this Phoebe could never admit to herself in her waking hours. She did not want him to return the favor and begin to ask her too many questions. She was Phoebe, the granddaughter of Isaac Wright, and he was Peyton, the man living in the Wright's barn. And she enjoyed talking to him, and visiting him day in and day out. Sometimes answers changed the way things worked, and sometimes it broke the sense of routine that had been formed. And Phoebe enjoyed the routine she and this customer had formed. So she simply smiled at him, and nodded and listened, and didn't think too much about what she was feeling, deep down in her heart. I enjoy talking with you, Peyton. He laughed and smiled at her, and she smiled back, and things went their routine way. Surely there's something that I need to do. There's gotta be something more. Okay, so I have to find Peyton. I guess he'll leave. And then I gotta see him. Okay. So he'll leave. And I'll see him in the mountains or something, I guess. They gotta leave first. He has to leave first. Maybe one more day. Picking up stuff, don't mind me. Scary sheriff man. Anything else I can get? Maybe more fish. Did I fish at all today? I don't think I did. There we go. Something to do. At least for a little bit. More toadstools up there as well. I got $500. Look at me. Just from picking stuff out in the wild. Wish it worked that way in real life. Imagine you just like fish a little bit and then pick some flowers, and then you just have $500. Be great. Suppose that's all I can do today, so I might as well just go back, I guess. Check on the barn, make sure he's still in there. Yes, we always say progress. No dream tonight. I don't know how to go back. I don't have anything to give him. I guess I'll just talk. Ah, there you are, Phoebe. I have a gift for you. He pulled out a satchel from behind a barrel. Inside, he removes... a butterblue flower. Delicately, she takes it from his hand, cradling it between her fingers. She had seen hundreds of them, and her father's rooms had been littered with their corpses. But still, it seemed so precious to her. The bright blue shone out in the dusky barn room. Both she and Peyton gazed down at the flower in her hands, silently, appreciating its beauty. I was out last night and decided to check in on your fields. There was a patch of them growing right over the hill. It was like they were gazing down on the fields. Did you know, when you were working there, all the butterblue flowers were watching you? Ah, that's a bit cheesy, ain't it? Phoebe didn't know what to say. She kept gazing at the flower in her hands. Peyton was looking at her, but she wouldn't look at him. She felt odd. She didn't like this feeling. It was new, and it wasn't the rhythm and routine that she was used to. Sorry. I can take it back if you don't want it. She didn't say anything, so he moved his hand towards the flower when she pulled it back. Or, never mind. She's so odd. She stared down at it. She had to do something, say something, but she didn't know what. So instead, she turned around and began to leave. Phoebe? I need to go. Oh, sure. I hope everything's fine. Yes, thank you for your gift. I need to continue my daily chores. Sure. He smiled at her, but she kept her eyes on the door. And with that, she left. What a strange, odd dynamic she had with this customer. Ugly. More Butterblue flowers. See, there is fish, so I'll go here next. There's a fish. It's not really multiple fish, but you know what I mean. So much to sell. I'm not buying anything, so I don't think it really matters. Well, now we'll go back for the fish later, I guess. Then we have the fish, and we can also visit the mountain and see if there's anything up there. Yep, there we go. I don't know when Peyton's gonna leave. I feel like we've talked to him a lot. Can I go explore down here, maybe? This is all the same. Obviously. Thought maybe she would maybe say something about the other stuff. Oh, that's why her smile wasn't the same as well. I think the Butterblue might be a, some kind of cure. The flowers just, like, weirdly stick out as very important. Okay, he's still there. I don't know what I need to do to trigger the ending. Let me look at the thing. Give Peyton flowers or other preferred gifts. Once you reach a certain affection threshold, you'll unlock a conversation with Peyton. There's 10 conversations to unlock. The last 4, which I feel like we definitely have. The last 4 are locked until you see both of his heart events, which we've seen. It's him, like, saving us and grabbing our fish for us. So activate the fishing heart event when you try to catch a fish. Once you progress far enough, head up to the mountains, and then it'll activate the nighttime heart event, which we got. That was when he saved us. Talk to Peyton after each of the heart events for a special dialogue. After you've seen all 10 of Peyton's conversations, he'll leave the barn. But I guess he just does it on his own? I don't know. Okay, are you gone yet? Do you have your music? I thought. Maybe not. Don't have anything to give to him. Ah, Phoebe, there you are. How are you feeling today? Her heart beat a little more rapidly than usual, but she felt fine. So she has a crush. She doesn't know how to cope with her feelings, because she's like this soulless monster thing. Very well. Good to hear it. I'm glad you dropped by today. There's something I wanted to discuss with you. Oh, yes. Anything you need. You know that I mean to hurt your grandfather, correct? She's like, I don't know him. He's not really my grandfather. The silence between the two of them dragged on for 2 minutes, then a third. Phoebe didn't know how to respond, so to stay silent was best. But Peyton didn't break the silence, instead holding eye contact with her. Let them fill the silence with their own anxieties, her father had said. Let the silence draw them into speaking up first, to seed something to cross the awkward chasm between them. But strangely enough, how odd, for the first time in her life, Phoebe felt that silence turning towards her. And before she could think better, I don't know. You don't know that I harbor ill will towards your grandfather? I pointed a gun at you when we first met. I don't know. Why does it matter if I know or not? I wanted to be honest with you. I couldn't tell you if you knew or not. Sometimes the way you act, you're too forgiving of others, and I wanted to make it clear my intentions towards your grandfather. I don't know why it matters if I know or not. We're both looking for your grandfather, and now you know I mean to harm him. Why would you still want to help me? Because you asked for help. What? It's like, what? He sighed and ran his hand through his hair. Phoebe, you can say no. Look, this has gone on for long enough. I'm leaving. If you want to continue whatever this is, you can find me in the mountains, near the stone outcropping. You can't keep doing whatever someone tells you. You have to make a choice for yourself. And with that, he got up to leave. Phoebe thought to say something, but she found the words she wanted to say, but nothing came out. And the door to the barn closed behind him. And there she stood, a silence all around her. Let's get the bad ending first. I don't even know for the bad ending, really. But... oh, but this said it would end the demo, so I don't... yeah, we'll wait. Hello, Peyton. He was there, standing just where he said he would be. I mean, our grandfather literally experimented on people, so... maybe we should be going with him. Phoebe's chest tumbled at the sight of him, anxieties rushing over her. She thought to turn around and walk away. She thought to feign ignorance of seeing him at all. But in truth, well, she wanted to see him. The man who wanted to harm her grandfather. And here she was, happy to see him again, to reach out and talk to him. And with a strange surge of emotions, Phoebe did not know the word for this was joy. She stumbled towards him. Mr. Peyton? She squeaked it out, the name coming out all wrong from her lips. But he looked up and smiled at her. She didn't smile back, because she didn't know what it was she was feeling. She was lost, bubbly and lighthearted, but ultimately lost in a sea of feeling. Hi, Phoebe. How are you? You said to find you. Are you sure? He stood there, waiting for her to continue. This was so hard for her. Why was it so hard? Yes. I know you mean to hurt my grandfather. Yes, I still want to talk with you, and... She wasn't sure what else she wanted from him, but she was happy when he was around. More than she'd ever known. And Phoebe, let's chat. I think there are a few things you ought to know. And so they walked, and Peyton began recounting the past. Oh, we get to learn what happened. Peyton had first arrived in Edgefield in the dead of night with a squadron of other men, all sent to bring down Isaac Wright's militia. Her grandfather was building an army of monsters to frighten, attack, and pillage all they could reach. Those are the dogs, right? Yeah. No town lay near Edgefield because of this, because they had all been destroyed in their carnage. Oh, jeez. Okay. So he just, like, murdered a bunch of people. The government heard rumors of strange going-ons in Edgefield, of strange monsters that roamed its borders. So they sent in Peyton with 12 other men to investigate, to bring down whatever it was they were doing. And were ambushed, knocked out, and herded off to be thrown into a large pit in the remote countryside. Jeez. Okay. They woke up, looked at each other, and began to try to find a way out. They turned into the wolves. Or the dogs, because the dogs bit them. There was none. They couldn't even reach the top of the pit, standing on each other's shoulders. And as the sun set on them out there in the wilderness, their bodies began to change. Each of the 12 men morphed into a black, dripping, scarpened creature, a wolf monster. Some changed quicker than others. Some lost their humanity on that first night. Others it took them a few days, weeks, until it was only Peyton and 2 others who still remembered themselves in the mornings, who still looked like a human. I wonder why. An old man visited them every day, to taunt them, to inspect them. So that's the grandfather, I'm guessing. Isaac Wright, yeah. He would inject some of them with red liquids, others with blue, and ask them questions. The men who had been taken the quickest were also the first to start talking. They told Isaac everything, and did everything Isaac asked of them. What loyal monsters they became. With Peyton, Isaac was confused. Why did none of the serums work on him? Why did he still refuse orders? Is it because he likes the flowers? So they kept sticking him, throwing him back into the pit with the others, anything to make him take to the transformations. And then, one day, Peyton started following orders. Isaac scribbled down note after note, unsure of what it was that had finally driven the breakthrough. Isaac began to inspect him even more closely, even more frequently, day in and day out, until finally Peyton saw his chance. Oh, was he faking? He could have been faking. Because in truth there had been no breakthrough. Peyton simply decided to obey, until the opportunity presented itself for an escape. Smart man. One night the moon was high, and Peyton bit Isaac, killed his guards, and fled with 2 others who could still remember who they had been before everything. They ran, and ran, and ran, until their bodies shifted, until the moon was high in the sky deep in the night. But the further they ran, the more their minds shifted. The more their arms and legs and throats began to crack, deep fissures running along and underneath their skin, their fur. One fell, its legs snapped off at an odd angle, and crashed hard into the dirt. Peyton stopped to look at his fallen friend, while the other continued its mad dash. Across the fields and onward it drove, against its fracturing limbs. Its ear fell off, its thigh, and finally it fell in the distance, an outgoing boom as it hit the ground, and a cloud of dust kicked up. Peyton could see his comrade, the body of his comrade, as the wind ate away at it, as it disintegrated into nothing. They couldn't leave the perimeter of the town. They couldn't go home. Peyton took his remaining comrade back and found a hideout for them. The cracks upon his own form healed as the sun finally rose, shifting the 2 of them back to their human selves. Is it him and the sheriff? Because the sheriff also has those, like, reddish eyes. But his friend was riddled with cracks along its skin. His leg was missing. Maybe not. Peyton tended to him as best he could, but he never recovered. And one day, Peyton returned to find a pile of ash, of dust in the place he had left his partner. Gone. Aw, poor Peyton. Peyton stalked the nights aimlessly, trying to figure out what to do next. He needed to find Isaac. He needed to find a way to reverse what had been done to him, and if possible, rescue the others. So he's looking for a cure, I figured. Peyton stopped walking. They had reached the edge of a large drop-off. From the distance, Phoebe could hear the whimper of dogs. They still have 7 of them. She looked down, but couldn't see anything for the height. I've had to kill a few of them. I want to save the rest of them, if possible. Phoebe nodded. I'm sorry to tell you about your grandfather. Why are you sorry? He did this to me. To all of us. He did. And I'm gonna kill him if I get the chance. I see. He stared at her, standing as he was near the edge of the cliff. He almost seemed poised to make the leap off, but what he had just told her, Phoebe was fairly certain that even if he were to fall, he'd be alright. And would you stop me? No. Would you hate me for it? No. But he's your grandfather. Yes. Well, not really. Yes, and? And? You have nothing else to say about that? He never told me to stop anyone from killing him. So, This Peyton's eyes lit up with recognition. He stopped for a few moments, walking back and forth, then looked back at her. Phoebe, you obey, don't you? Yes. Are you able to disobey an order? She looked away from him, eyes down. She had never talked about this part of herself with others. His hands came down at his sides, and he took a step forward, towards her. The air around her warmed immediately. What did he do to you? Your father? He taught me how to mind the store. Did he inject you with anything? Liquids? You have long stretches of time when you can't remember anything? Is it the lotion? I feel like it's the lotion. I feel like the lotion has something to do with it. But then the lotion had something to do with the cracking, too, so I don't know. No. I see. If you aren't like me, one of us, then why can't you disobey an order? It's because Isaac was the so it was the father's writing then. Isaac was the one who he wanted to make the dogs and just focus on the dogs, and the dad thought that was stupid. So he made her. So similar process, but different things. She didn't say anything. She found herself. She didn't want him to know this about her. A strange feeling bubbled up inside her as she fidgeted with her hands. Are you like me? Are you fully human? She turned away from him. No, he couldn't force her to answer this. He wasn't her father. He wasn't... Phoebe, look at me. Get away. Don't look. Stay back. No. She pushed him away, and he caught himself just before he went over the edge. Oh no. I'm so sorry. So you can say no. That's fantastic. Oh, Phoebe, say it again. Okay. No, you're not supposed to. Well, it's progress. His laugh had taken the edge off of what he had been building up inside her. He was smiling at her, his eyes alight, and she was happy he was happy, but her skin crawled. She liked him, but... I'm sorry, I made you uncomfortable. No, it's alright. Really? I see. He ran his hands through his hair, and she looked at him. She would have smiled, but, oh, she was tired. She was so tired. About me being... That's the reason I brought it up. I didn't mean to make you feel uncomfortable, or insinuate anything. It's just, well, if you were like me... He lapsed into silence, and Phoebe stepped closer to him. He seemed to be in pain again. Is it that, like, he wouldn't be able to hurt her? Maybe? I'm sorry. It's alright. I wouldn't wish this on anyone else, so in a way I'm glad. But glad he was not. Phoebe could tell that from his face. She opened her mouth, then shut it, because she had recognized parts of his story, because it did not shock her, because she herself was a monster. He wouldn't wish his condition on others, but she herself was already inflicted with her own curse, and perhaps she could have said this to him, to even the scales between them. One confession to balance out another. But to say that, to speak that level of truth, Phoebe didn't have the strength to do it. So she stood next to him, and tried her best to be kind and patient. That she could do. They went back to the farmhouse. Peyton stopped at the threshold, keeping himself out. Tomorrow, let's talk about our next steps. But for now, it's late. You should get your rest. He moved to leave when Phoebe reached out and grabbed his arm. Phoebe? You don't have to, stay in the barn. It's cold. She couldn't look him in the eye. She was looking everywhere but him. I know about your dog thing. You don't need to sleep in the barn just to, He raked his hand through his hair, at a loss for words. Yeah, I guess I don't have to anymore, huh? It's just been so long. It's habit. Yes, I can see how it might be hard to break a habit. She smiled at him, without even thinking. Without thinking about customers and fathers and minding a store. He just stared at her, for 1 second, then 2. His eyes were bright, but Phoebe didn't know what that meant. I'll stay. On one condition. Yes? I break my habit of hiding from you. You break your habit of I'm sorry. Okay, I thought he was going to say of hiding from me, but I spoke too quickly. Whoops. Oh. See? Not so easy, is it? I'll do it. I'll stop saying it. And with that, Peyton closed the door behind him. And she led him to the table where they shared a meal together. Is that safe? is that safe for her? It was after dinner and the sun had set that Phoebe finally began to feel at ease. Or maybe she just meant during the day. Peyton was an easy conversation partner, and to have someone to dine with, it was nice. He was warm, the candle was bright, and their measly meal felt more grand than any feast Phoebe could remember. She smiled, and not once did she think of this man as her grandfather's customer. He was Peyton, and he had shared a deep truth about himself with her. Hello, I said hello, Multi. Hello, Tip. Jeez. He wasn't human. He had been transformed from her grandfather's work. And it was this thought that had planted itself in her mind back when he had first told her. And that continued to grow and sprout over the hours until after dinner, as they were clearing the dishes away. Phoebe told him, I'm not human. Peyton paused in his movements of moving a chair back to its place. She kept her face down. She didn't want to see his reaction. My father created me. He said I was, a homunculus, he called me. A man-made human? His voice was soft, with no edges. Yes. He said that all of his research had led him to me. That I was going to bring back a lot of happy memories for him and for Isaac. But, I wasn't what he wanted. I didn't remember things I ought to have. Remember things? She paused, her hands shaking. Peyton moved to her. He reached and gently held one hand to stop the shakes. It was this peace, this soft encouragement that gave Phoebe the strength she needed to talk. So she took one final breath and started the story her father had told her over and over. Now we get to learn what she is. It was here in Edgefield that a girl named Phoebe lived. A girl who had been human before there ever was a homunculus. She lived with her father and grandfather in a farmhouse in the outskirts of the town. She was a rambunctious child, climbing trees and playing tricks on those around her. She was especially fond of the Butterblue flower, picking it and stashing it around the farm. But as she grew up, she became sicker and sicker until she couldn't play anymore. How am I? I'm good, thank you for asking. She began to scream and cry because laying in bed all day and doing nothing was boring. It was boring and she felt so awful, and to scream made her feel better. She took the petals of the Butterblue flower and crammed them into her books, into her sheets. Anything to pass the time, to wait for her father and her grandfather to finish their research, because they had told her they were using their research to cure her. Their grandfather was first to manufacture a cure, but it involved serums and injections. It would turn her into a monster, would turn her into unrecognizable from the little girl they knew. The father came weeks later with a different plan. He wanted to move her soul into a new body, a homunculus he could make, the fruit of all their experiments, the perfect human being. But it was untested, and the chances of killing her in the process was nearly 100%. The two bickered and argued back and forth, day in and day out. It spilled over into their work. It spread out into the village. Everyone knew the two men fought over the research, but none knew the cause of it. The only one who knew, meanwhile, had been getting sicker by the day. Until the day came when she couldn't go on anymore. So this is why the research started. I guess that's a little bit more noble than just creating monsters. She couldn't scream and kick anymore, always constantly exhausted, the pounding in her head drowning out everything else. While her father and grandfather screamed at each other in the neighboring room, Phoebe took her last breath, scratching and clawing at her bedsheets, and died. They had been too late. They buried her in the fields she loved to play in, and continued to argue. Isaac was broken, furious with his son, and furious with their failure. But the two, But of the two, it was the son that was the most angry. Frustrated with Isaac, with the town, with their unwillingness to push the boundaries of their research, he left. In the dead of night, he dug up Phoebe's bones and headed to New Working City, and there he created his life's masterpiece. And a masterpiece it was, the homunculus Phoebe. A clay shell wrapped around the bones of the girl, a perfect recreation of the daughter he had lost. Oh, so it was her, like, clay breaking when she fell. But the homunculus did not contain the memories of her past. She knew nothing. The experiment was a failure. At the end, Phoebe had been a failure. Poor thing. I know, poor Phoebe. Phoebe had not stopped shaking as she recounted her story. Peyton had moved his other hand to hers, yet still she shook. And then, at the end, her eyes began to water. I'm sorry. She would move to wipe her eyes, but Peyton held her hands. So down the tears slid, across her face, wiping away the lotion she had so diligently applied that morning. A homunculus. Who can cry? Finally, Peyton let go of one of her hands, which she quickly used to wipe the rest of her tears away. You have emotions. You can cry. I don't see why your father thought his experiment was a failure. I don't remember. But you're human. You're just like a human. How is that anything but a success? They lapsed into silence. Peyton's gaze out the window, clearly thinking about something. Phoebe glanced at him from time to time. She felt tired, worn out. He had bared his soul to hers, and she had done the same. He still held her hand. He had found a blanket and placed it around her shoulders. She accepted it, and the two sat quietly, side by side, and enjoyed each other's company. Isn't it getting late? Oh, it's 9. And as the hours passed, the candle burned ever down. Phoebe could see changes in Peyton. His eyes turned red, and a warmth filled the room. A man who normally ran a bit on the warm side suddenly turned into a furnace. A comfortable, cozy furnace, in any case. She's like, he's really hot. No, literally. The sheen of his skin turned ever just a little translucent, and his movements felt quicker, too precise for a normal human. I can hold my human form for a while, but if I lose my concentration, I can possibly shift. Shift? He was warm, and Phoebe found she was quite nippy outside of his radius, so she kept scooting closer and closer to him. No, it's oh no, I mean in the game it's 9 p.m. It's not 9 p.m. for me either. To turn into those creatures you saw, the dogs. My comrades stay that way the whole time, not just at night. Oh, I see. I can control myself in that form, don't worry. But, I wouldn't want to shed all over your carpet. Shed? Oh. It would be no problem. She was close enough to him by now that she could see his cheeks had a slight redness to them. But maybe another day? He looked at her, a surprised expression in his face. Really? Well, I like dogs. Well, then let's do that. Someday. But not anytime soon. The townsfolk were looking for me. He looked down. She angled her head down to see him better. I can't let them see me. They'd kill me. What should we do? If we could get word out to my old commanders about what's going on. But, I don't know. If we can find Isaac, maybe he knows a way to stop this. My grandfather. A horrid wind blew outside, making the cracks in the house all shriek with an ungodly wail. Phoebe scooted closer, trying to get away from the draft from the front door. Are you alright? Another gust of wind, and Peyton wrapped his arms around her. He was so warm, she almost forgot about everything. I've never met my grandfather. I don't know if he even knows that I was created. If we find him, what will he say? Phoebe. He gripped her tighter, and she glanced at the front door, as if the howling outside might rip it off its hinges. I hope I can help you somehow. I just want to be helpful. You've always been helpful, Phoebe. He shifted himself to hug her with both arms, and she looked up at him. Why are you so warm? He stifled a laugh. I don't know. It just sort of happened after, everything. No one would get cold if they traveled with you. I suppose not, no. That seems very handy. I'm happy to hear that. Aw. He was nice, Phoebe thought to herself, for not the first time that day. And it was this thought that lingered in her mind as she drifted off to sleep beneath the blanket, firelight dancing along the edges of the room. They're sweet. Are they gonna find what's in the door, though? Phoebe felt bad for the girl she was supposed to be. The shape in front of her in the dark, dark void. A shape that once belonged to a girl. She didn't have her bones to keep her shape. She just had that nebulous thing called a soul. Phoebe first thought to apologize, but remembered her promise to Peyton. Instead, I would like to help you. Tell me how to help you. I want to rest. As long as you carry my bones, I can't rest. Phoebe could feel the weight of her body. Things inside of her, grounding her to the here and now, to get rid of her bones. Is there any other way? The shape twisted and turned, then looked at her with both eyes. Let me go. Let my bones go. The shape inverted, splitting itself into three. The two larger ones, up top. The one smaller one, down below. The three shapes. The happy family. The shape of a family all gone. Girl, why do you wanna... You're gonna kill Phoebe. Vengeful little ghost. Phoebe was warm. Phoebe was warm. Warmer than she had ever thought she could be. She opened her eyelids to see the morning light peeking through the front window. An arm was wrapped around her shoulder. It was Peyton. They had fallen asleep right there, wrapped in blankets and on the floor. His skin looked the same as it normally did, and his breath was steady. He was asleep. She got up before him and looked out the front window. Same as always. Another day, back to the same routine. Oh, no. I don't want to sleep. Can I tell him about the door yet? No? It's not gonna change. Have anything to say about the picture now? Oh. Hello, Fanny? Why is she at my house? Hey, there you are, girl. Miss Fanny. The older woman was standing right outside her front door. Phoebe slammed it shut, perhaps with less grace than she ought to have, hoping the older woman hadn't seen Peyton inside. Do I have a Discord? I do not. I do not have like a Discord server or anything. Whoa, everything okay there? Oh, yes. The wind here's strong. You're awfully chatty. Fanny looked over her shoulder, pointedly at the door. You know, I just wanted to drop by and let you know. To be careful of falling off cliffs. Huh? It's a pretty steep drop, isn't it? Out there at the ravine. Ravine? Yup. Phoebe smiled. She didn't know what this woman wanted, so she smiled. Lots of people die that way, around here. Falling to their death. Eaten by dogs. You know, the usual. I do so gladly appreciate your business, after all. Whatever you're doing, they know about it. That's it. Have a great day there, Phoebes. She was gone, just as quickly as she came. She was like warning her. That was nice. Phoebe felt nervous, but knew it was best to keep going about her day. Can't see anything in the barn even now that he's gone, I guess. Peyton was standing by her mirror, looking down at her daily face cream. Good morning. Oh, Phoebe. What's this? My face cream. You use cosmetics? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just surprised. It's for my skin, to keep it from drying out. Because it's clay. Since it's made of clay. Clay? Yes, my father told me how to make it. I'm to use it every morning. What happens if you don't? My skin can fracture. Do you mind? He picks up the container and motions to take a piece. She nods. Peyton rubs a bit on his arm, face full of astonishment. Incredible, I can feel it. Has your skin cracked before? Does this heal it? Yes, as long as you get to it in a timely manner. Interesting. Cracking. I wonder if it will work on... He looked at her, but for what, she didn't know. What is this made of? Butterblue. I knew the Butterblue had something to do with a cure. The flour? Yes, you can make it paste with it by grinding it up and mixing it with lard. Local ingredients. Maybe what we need to look for is local ingredients. If a cure exists at all. We need to find Isaac, or his workshop at least. I'm worried about being spotted, so I'll stay in here. Right. She thought of Fanny's conversation, but kept it to herself. Let me know when you find any leads, okay? Alright. Down here. The door. In human strength. And if you wanted to hide things for only other unhumans to find, put it behind something only one of their own kind can open. Peyton? Her voice carried from down below, and Phoebe saw his bright orange head poke out from up above. Everything okay down there? Can I borrow, your strength? Oh? Well, sure. I'll be right there. He jumped down the steps and quickly found her. She pointed towards the rusted door, and he seemed to understand all at once. Let me see what I can do for you. He gripped the bars and pulled, and at first nothing. But he kept at it, the veins in his neck bulging out, and he started to shift. She took a step back as a creature took over the form Phoebe had come to know. And then, when he had formed fully into that dripping, sharpened creature, he bit into the door, concaving the metal like it was paper. He let out a little bark, then shuffled further inside. A little bark. She followed. It led to a room dimly lit and dank, moisture seeping in through the walls, making puddles that lined the floors. And tables and books and things. The things down here were in such haphazard array, it couldn't help but remind Phoebe of her own father's workshop. Good job. I never would have thought to look down here. Phoebe looked at the creature that was Peyton. His voice, it was distorted, like he was underground shouting through dirt and rock. Oh, I should have warned you. I didn't mean to shift. It's fine. She's like, I'm literally also a monster. She looked down. Oh. He took up so much space and his tail had fallen into some sort of puddle, some of the puddles around the room. Excuse me for a second. He shuffled back the way they had come, disappearing from view. A few moments later, the human-shaped Peyton reappeared. Sorry, it's a strange feeling to show that side of myself to someone else. Oh, it's no issue. He kept his gaze behind her. He was nervous, she could tell. But enough of that. Let's see what we can find. It's over here. Journals are scattered along the table, seemingly tossed every which way. Peyton already has one open and is reading it in the dim light. Phoebe could see well enough down here, but not well enough to read. Must be a dog thing. Medium to conduct. Sand, no. Rock, no. Iron, no. Easy to hurt self. Clay? A schematic hung on the wall. Phoebe could make out the words dogs, homunculus, and resurrection. Nothing about a cure, however. Phoebe could see jars of ingredients, each filled with a different ingredient. She recognized the petals of the Butterblue flower, the stalk of toadstool, and of course clay. Formed from the atoms of originating organism, but need originating organism and time to allow adaptation. How to form faster bodies. So that's the wolf body thing with the soul. Bones and death memorabilia easier to transport than living organisms. Ship to location and form dogs on site. Okay, so I guess they need living organisms to make normal things. But need to know owners of originating bones per Dr. Frank book. Mixed bones? No. My tests show that if bodies aren't of similar build, the neurobody is not viable. Finding a ratio of bones to body size has proven to be difficult. Can I replace bones with another conductive material? If we can just create neurobodies with neurosouls, we can expand our reach. Why stop at just ruling one small dot on the map? The world will be ours. Stop wasting time, Isaac. That's the dad's stuff. A table sat before her, not unlike the one sitting in the upstairs room. Except, unlike what she had seen when she first saw the table upstairs, this one has no dust. That's odd. Oh my god, has he been living under her the whole time? Oh, maybe not. Did we not look at everything already? Looked at that. Journals, Peyton's reading one. There's the jars of ingredients. And that was this journal. So what else am I supposed to look at, I guess? Is there something special? Certainly there has to be something. Do I need to reread these? Does that have anything to do with anything? Do I need to gather ingredients? There's one more type of ingredient, wasn't there? Maybe not, no. Just, I was thinking of fish, I think. Should I put the ingredients on the table? Oh wait, this thing. Another door. I was thinking this was the door that we came through, but it wasn't. Another door. This one wasn't barricaded with iron, so she could open it pretty easily. Open it? This will trigger the ending. Yes, because we read everything already. Phoebe opened the door and looked inside. Darkness. But in the distance, a sconce hung hugging the corner. Someone had been down here, and recently. She turned around to motion Peyton over, when a deep, guttural howl came from the direction of the farmhouse. Peyton flew to her side, looking back at the door he had broken through. There's a dog in your house. But it's day. Fanny had told her that they knew. Miss Fanny mentioned that they had seen us at the ravine. Great. He looked over his shoulder, at the sconce Phoebe had noticed before. I don't suppose you locked your front door? A crash from up above answered his question, and Peyton pushed her further inside the corridor, closing the door behind them. Forward. We have to go forward. Okay. She reached out, hands on the muddy walls, and followed the curve of the passage as it wound its ways towards that distant sconce. As she reached it, another curve ahead, and another sconce. There was a scratching noise at the door behind them. She ran towards the next sconce. Peyton was behind her. She could feel his warmth, could tell that he had shifted back into that dog form of his paws slapping on the dirt beneath them. I mean, it's good to have a guard dog, right? But they weren't fast enough. Two dogs were behind them, based on the pair of eyes glistening in the dark. You go. Keep running. No! I don't want Peyton to die! He broke off from her and hurled himself at their pursuers. Angry noises, snarling filled the air, and Phoebe kept running. Eventually she lost track of them. It was silent all around her, and yet another sconce was up ahead. Her legs were starting to give out. Ah, a crack had formed along the inner length of her leg. She slowed down as she arrived at the next sconce, and light. There was a light up ahead. Outside! Peyton, it's... She looked back to show him, but only saw darkness behind her. Oh. She had to make it alone, so she did. That's so sad! I wanted Peyton to live! What the hell? The sunlight blinded her as she exited along the long, long tunnel. As her eyes adjusted, she found herself at the base of the ravine. But she wasn't alone. There were dogs all around her, their eyes staring straight up at the sky. And there, in the middle, a larger dog. A wolf, almost. Gray fur matted to its face and sides. A broken pair of glasses hooked precariously on one ear. Is it the grandfather? You, who dares to enter? Phoebe knew who this was. This was no comrade of Peyton's. This was a monster of his own creation. Grandfather. It's me, Phoebe. Petulant child. You are my child. Phoebe, alive. It's good to find you, Grandfather. I have looked for you for a long time. You must be tired. Is there anything I can do to help? Tired, yes. We are tired. Perhaps we can stop these experiments. Where is my son? He's successful. My son. But... A crash from behind Phoebe cut off whatever this monster was about to say. She turned around to see... Hugh! Why the hell is he here? Well, today is certainly an eventful day. I catch our remaining dog and find Isaac. How wonderful. From behind him, two dogs drag Peyton between them and throw him on the ground. Is he alive? He doesn't get up. Oh. No, Peyton! You have the stupidest luck, girl. Why are you even here? An ear-piercing scream echoed through the ravine as a white wolf moved towards Hugh. That is Phoebe. He was success. Success, my son. Alive. He is alive. You stupid man. Hugh unloaded bullet after bullet into the monster, who continued to take a step at a time, the ground around them shaking from impact. Your son is dead. Just tell me where your stupid research is so I can kill all of you. A howl, another howl, and all the dogs around them were howling. Her grandfather opened his maw and charged forward, missing Hugh and catching one of the flanking dogs in his teeth. The dog shattered upon the impact, dust floating through the air. Who cares if he's dead? Damn it, Isaac, we're building an army, remember? Oh, so he was involved. His shot caught Phoebe in the arm, and she cried out in pain. Another screech and the monster lunged again, but his sheer force made him easy to evade, the monster crashing into the cliffside, causing boulders to fall, hitting another one of the dogs. The dogs were circling, howling and yipping, no sign of humanity in their eyes. The white wolf struggled to his feet again. Everything about his movement was slow, was painful. Phoebe clutched her arm and looked around. She knew she had to do something. Her grandfather was going to trample Peyton, from where his body sat motionless. She moved towards him, but Hugh shot at her. Again, her grandfather charged and missed, another dog down. Grandfather, please stop. He did not. Hugh, please stop. He shot at her. She looked at the dogs around her, circling. One had a gash along the side of its eye. An eye that lacked the bright red of Peyton's, a gash that almost seemed to be cracks along the surface. She reached into her skirts and felt the bottle of Butterblue cream she stored for emergencies. Instead of charging for Peyton, she turned and charged at the dog closest to her. It barely recognized her contact with it, but yelped as she smeared the Butterblue cream right into the gash alongside its eye. It shook her off, shrieking in pain, and began to rub its face, alongside anything it could, running into other dogs and into walls. Switching sides, are we? No. The white wolf took a step back, and Phoebe reached out with her hand, rubbing his leg with the ointment. He screamed, the ointment seeping into his fur. Well, yeah, it's going to be a painful transformation back. Hugh opened fire on her grandfather, while a dog near her rushed her from the side, biting her injured shoulder. It crumpled under its teeth. She screamed. It wouldn't let go. She struggled. Its teeth were embedded deep in her shoulder, and the bones that sat there. She used her free hand, the one holding the container of Butterblue cream, and slammed it straight in the dog's eyes. Like its fellow, it screamed and immediately let go of her shoulder, but not before taking her arm with it. Jeez, poor Phoebe. I mean, I was gonna say, she can't, like, bleed out or anything. It just hurt a lot. Phoebe didn't bleed. She never bled, but she was in pain, her shoulder ending right where an arm should have been, exposing her ribcage. Another dog, this one grabbed her leg, and she threw more of the cream into its eyes, and it ran away with her leg. She lost track of time, of what was going on. So many of those dogs, and she fell to the ground, with only a hand, only her torso. She was saving Peyton's comrades. That's what he had wanted. He had wanted her help, and she had done it. She had been useful. The sun was bright above. There was shouting and snarling and gunshots. Well, I guess the souls inside her can rest if she dies, but that's still really sad. I liked her. But she was tired. So very tired. She looked up and could see a human shape there, right beside her. A cold gun pointed straight at her. A gunshot and a half of her face cracked. Didn't he know he couldn't kill her that way? Didn't he know anything about homunculi? About monsters? You needed to remove their core. Their heart. The gun was now pointed at her remaining eye. In a blur, the bullet grazed her cheek and fractured her sight. Someone fell to her side and let out a string of curses before being cut off, but that didn't matter, because she was tired. There was much to feel about that day that was complicated, Phoebe felt, but this feeling, it was so simple, and it was so easy. Without having to think about it, she closed her eyes and slept. The shapes in the darkness were shifting. The first, it looked like a great majestic wolf. The second was a playful girl, her braids caught in the tree branches she had been climbing. So these are the souls that make up the homunculus Phoebe. That one, a doll on a shelf, waiting. But the shapes never stayed for too long, and thus did Phoebe have much to occupy her time with. For the time never seemed to move, and the air here felt unbearable. So dark and oh so cold. But time did seem to move, for one of the shapes took on the shape she knew well, the one with the bulging eyes and the moving pieces. Thank you. So I guess with the bones, being taken, she was freed. You let me go. You let all of us go. Grandfather and I and Father. We'll be going now. Phoebe fought to move her arm, to reach out, to follow, but she couldn't. She watched as the shapes, for one last time, forming into a little girl, her father and her grandfather. Hand in hand, peaceful in death, if not in life. And off they went, deeper in the darkness, and left the homunculus where she lay. It was cold. And it was dark. And the girl Phoebe was no more. But the homunculus was still there. She laid in the darkness and thought, for there was nothing else left to do. No one told her to do anything, and no one needed anything from her. Is this gonna be like her purgatory kind of thing? Limbo? Really? What else was there to do? Was there something left to do? Oh, what is this? A flower given to her? Closer? But what was this? A flower? Oh, Peyton's flower. Who had given this to her? That's right, wasn't it? It was given to her. Not to Phoebe, but to her. The homunculus girl began to think. She had been left behind, but there was still something to be done. Someone had given her a flower, and that made her happy. So she thought, and this time, instead of the darkness closing in on her, the air around her lightened. It grew more warm, and fighting and struggling, she reached out, and she woke up. Is Peyton going to be part of her now? Arms were around her. Oh, no. Arms and dust and warmth. She could see. How could she see? She could feel both her arms. How could she have arms? Oh, did he rebuild her? Was he, like, not actually dead? And legs? And Phoebe. He was there. Peyton. Oh, she's very cracked. He was there, Peyton. His hands were so warm, where they pressed against her back, and in his hand her cream, the Butterblue cream, a jar completely empty. Oh, so I wonder if all the other, him and the other wolves, I wonder if they're, like, good now. They're human. Thank God, I thought, Phoebe. He hugged her tightly, and she could see a white wolf turned to stone, his face pointed up at the sun. Her grandfather. Well, that's because the soul left. And around men and women standing around, she counted them one by one. The dogs. Peyton's comrades. She looked back at Peyton. There were cracks at the edges of his fingers. His clothes were ripped. But he was smiling. That smile she loved so much. He helped her stand from that dirt, pulling her hand up. And as she turned around, the bones that had made up her skeleton, scattered in the dirt, buried in the dust that had settled in the ravine. So she really did just have to leave the bones. She'd still be alive. I didn't know that. But how was she alive? I'm alive? Yes, you are, Phoebe. She touched her chest. She had hands again. How very strange. And there in the center of her chest, she could see through the cracks underneath. Her core. It was a Butterblue flower, not a piece of bone at all. She cried. She cried and held Peyton and cried some more. Poor Phoebe. Oh, how it was all too much. Oh, how she had simply wanted life to return to her routine. And oh, how much more she had found instead. Aww. Her grandfather had turned to stone. The age of him, the weary of him, or perhaps simply his wish to end his own life, had turned the Butterblue cream into something to give him his wish. A man who found his end with his own inventions. Hugh had not made it out of the skirmish. I was wondering what happened to him. Like, is that asshole dead or not? After he shot Phoebe, Peyton found the strength to rush at him. He was not kind to him, because Hugh had not been kind in turn to either Peyton nor Phoebe's own father. He had wanted nothing more to continue to grow his army of dogs, and met his fate by the end of one of these same dogs. Yeah, that's what he deserved. And Phoebe, or the girl who was previously known as Phoebe, decided to move into her grandfather's farmhouse, and to build a life of routine that she had been looking for. A start for her and only her. The day was going to be bright and sunny. It had been a long day, but the girl had made the best of it. Fanny had appreciated the newest harvest, and had even promised her the first pick of the new season's crops. As she made her way back home, no longer worried about the 8 p.m. curfew, he's not supposed to be there, he's dead, she saw Peyton's comrades scattered along the roads. A patrol, to keep the area secure and to smooth over any of the remaining villagers' fears of it going back to how it had been for so long. And there, at the top of the hill, right outside her grandfather's, no, her farm, was Peyton. Well, hello there. I was waiting for you. I took the scenic route. I never get to see the countryside much at night. You'll have plenty of time for that now. I suppose I will. He looked at her with that smile, and she smiled back, a real eye-creasing smile. She loved him. It had come so naturally. I've been meaning to ask you. You're not gonna be going by Phoebe anymore, are you? No. She's made her peace. Then, what should I call you? The girl thought about that, and thought. But mostly she thought so long because she wanted Peyton to keep looking at her with that cute expression of his. I'll tell you later. I'll be waiting to hear. She slipped her hand in his and leaned in. Oh, he was still warm. He still could shift, he and the others. They had control over it. Oh my god, she's just like in a town of wolves now. Which is Werewolf Town. He leaned in and closed the gap between them. Here, in front of her farm, with a man she loved, she was happy. The homunculus girl was happy. Peyton's ending, letting go. Aww. That's the good ending. Alright, now let's see the bad ending, I guess. Which one's the latest? Is it 55? No, 422. Okay, I think I can skip through this and still activate his. Oh, okay. Nope, I gotta go from an earlier date. Should be this one. That one should be far enough, I think. Ugh. Yes. Yes. Excellent. Now, here's the plan. This is non-canon, it's non-canon, it's not real. Phoebe walked into the barn, looking for where the dog was last spotted. She saw Peyton. Oh, hello, Phoebe. She smiled at him. Mr. Peyton, there's someone I need your assistance with in the fields. In the fields? He looked around at that, running his hands through his hair. She waited for him to continue. Normally I try to keep to myself in the daytime, but sure, can't say no to someone who needs help. She nodded at him to follow her, leading him out of the barn and towards the fields. How could she? Just as they crossed the threshold outside, two men roughly grabbed Peyton, knocking him to the ground. Hey, what's this? A shot rang out, cutting Peyton's words short. It's Hugh, with a gun in his hand. Well, we meet again, officer. Hugh lowers the gun, aiming it directly at Peyton's chest. This is terrible. How could she betray him like that in this bad ending version? The other man stood still, a harsh glare in his eyes. Where are the others? Not one for talking, are you? Well, if they're not with you, I suppose our dogs found them, didn't they? Damn you. The sheriff pulled the hammer of the gun back, a final warning. Such a shame to lose precious dogs like that. We could have broken them in, fixed them. Damn you, we never would have. But you, well. He shot Peyton in point-blank range, the two men falling off him from the force. Peyton hit the ground with a sick thud. Phoebe stood there, hands folded in front of her, waiting for things to settle back into a rhythm she knew. Come on, we both know that's not enough to kill you. And just as the sheriff had said, the body of Peyton, bleeding profusely upon the grass, began to convulse, unnatural sounds being torn from his throat. A creature formed, and was folded out of the body of the man Phoebe knew, a dripping, black-inked creature, with bright red eyes. Now, this is where the fun starts. I hate him. Phoebe stood with her back to the carnage, looking out at her grandfather's fields. Put the dog down, Hugh had said. Put the dog down, they had. Blood was spilled all over the grass, a severed arm or two tossed up against the barn siding. Hugh's men hadn't gotten out unscathed, but they had been successful in their hunt. And Phoebe? She had stood by and waited for things to quiet down, to go back to normal. And perhaps they would. But not yet. Not quite yet. Well done, Phoebe. The sheriff had a few droplets of blood on his shirt, but looked relatively unchanged from the events of the day. Thank you. Your father didn't teach you anything, did he? No. Nothing? Absolutely nothing? Nothing related to his research. Even though you are his research? The sun was directly behind the man, backlighting his features. Ew, he looked so scary, what the hell? Phoebe couldn't read his face, but she smiled anyway, in hopes of de-escalating whatever was about to happen. Isaac Wright lost his mind after his granddaughter died. His son fled with her research. And you came back to find your grandfather. Back to life? Resurrected from the dead? Or... He took one step closer to her. She stood up straight, her smile plastered on her face. Recreated. The research he had fled with, was your father finally successful in the end? He took the knife from his pocket, tossing it from hand to hand. Where the hell did he keep his research? My men killed him and came back with nothing. I had a feeling that it was Hugh who did that. Where is his research? Pain blossomed across Phoebe's cheek. A deep cut from Hugh's knife. Or what would have been a cut on a normal human. On Phoebe, her cheek shattered, cracked from where the knife had grazed her skin. A homunculus. But how'd he create you? Tell me. Again he cut her face. And again. She smiled, and smiled, even when her lips cracked in two. Useless, useless. You know nothing. Your father's dead, and that damned Isaac is a rabbit who won't. Enough. If you don't know how he created you, we'll simply reverse engineer it. Take you apart piece by piece, and see if we can put you back together. And if not, nothing of value is lost. He smiled at her. She stared back, with no mouth left to smile. And the sun finally set. Hugh's ending, the Sheriff of Edgefield. Oh, here's the author's notes. I've been trying to make this game for a long time. It's an idea that kept sneaking up on me, asking to be made. Butterblue, to me, comes from the same cloth as Elvine and Ziva in The Wolves. It's a game about someone lost in the middle of a horrible familial politics, and of trying to find their place in the world. They're not happy games, but there's something that keeps asking me to try telling their story. As I've gotten older, my perspective has changed. Elvine is too saccharine, with the Isaac surrogate deciding to just be good now once the protagonist gets married and has a baby. I've never seen these yet. With Butterblue, I wanted to try hitting a middle ground. There are people around Phoebe who do not see her as her own person and treat her as such, Hugh's route. But there are other people out there too, who act as some sort of distorted father surrogate upon which to continue to inflict the traumas upon her, Peyton's route. No matter how big or looming an abusive family may seem, the world is so much bigger than that. They still needed to choose the ending. It's not delivered to them on a silver platter, but it's there. A way out. 2023 marks the 10-year anniversary of Elvine, my first game release. I felt it fitting to mark this occasion with Butterblue, which is the culmination of a long process for me. It's a spiritual successor to the first VN I ever worked on, that I lost all the files for. Oh, that sucks so bad. It has farming mechanics, foraging, a shop feature, and a gift giving. It really represents everything I've been striving to make these past 10 years, and I'm excited to see the shape it's taken. I'm really proud of the game, even if that might be a faux pas to admit in your own game. But I am. Butterblue is a 2022 NaNoReno project that I'm releasing a whole year after the deadline. I suppose some things don't change, do they? But enough of this happy stuff. The best part about the author's notes is all the fun concept art, right? Before I talk about the actual dev process of Butterblue, let's talk about Fronterina. I don't want to learn about their other games because I might play them. Okay. So keeping all this in mind, I sat down to figure out what I wanted to do for Nano 2022. I had just finished Tomorrow for More, and I knew I had an Otome Jam coming up in May, so I didn't have much energy or time to really dedicate to a project. But man oh man, did I want to make a farm sim. I don't know if other creators get this, but when my brain wants to make a game, it will not let go. Me too, with my writing and stuff. Even if it is the most unmarketable, ill-timed mess of a project. If the brain wants to make it, I can't stop it without a lot of fighting. So I said, fine, let's do it. Let's make a VN/farm sim for Nano. I knew going in that there was no way in hell I was going to finish, but it was more so about having fun and finally writing the systems for the farming systems I've been dreaming about for so long. So when I threw farm sim visual novel at my brain, it immediately reminded me of Fronteria, in a perfect setting. I mean, they're already out there living on a farm, just to make the farm playable. That seems so simple. I took the bones from Fronteria and I started chopping and hacking until finally I got Butterblue. Random hot villain. Hot villain. I didn't think he was hot. That would have his own route if this wasn't a jam title, lol. He did have his own route, though. Well, not really his own route, but his own ending. MC. Love interest, Phoebe. Alright, I don't think... Yeah, there's a lot to read. So I'll let you guys read through the rest, but I was just interested in what their little process was and stuff. The rest of it seems like it's, deep in the actual process of making the game, so... I will leave that here. Tomorrow we are playing with the capture card. Finally, I'm so excited. I got it working today, and I just hope it works while we're streaming. So yeah, we're gonna be playing Slender's Arrival, and then I don't know what we're doing for next week yet, so don't ask me. I'll have the schedule eventually. But for now, we're just gonna go ahead and leave. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys again on tomorrow. on tomorrow. Bye.